is going to get their signature win on a whiteout night in Happy Valley.
And the Nittany Lions energized by that huge upset last week over Ohio State and now ready to end a 7-game road losing streak. That's the plan today at Purdue as Penn State comes in at 5-2, 3-1 in the Big Ten East. And we welcome you to Ross-Ade Stadium. I'm Beth Mowens along with Anthony Becht. Well, amidst the euphoria of that whiteout on Saturday night, expectations changed in an instant in Happy Valley. And Anthony, they are right back in the race in the Big Ten East. It's going to be a lot different atmosphere, though, here this afternoon.
Well, the job that James Franklin did to prepare his team for that game on all three phases was spectacular. I think this game will be his biggest coaching challenge coming against Ohio State into Purdue, and it's going to start on the ground with his best player on offense, Saquon Barkley. Now, listen, I watched a lot of film and a lot of backs. I love this kid. He can run. He's got explosion, 4.6 speed through the hole. He's got tree trunks for legs. He's hard to tackle. He's hard to bring down. But the most eye-popping thing is his athleticism. Watch him leap over the defender on defense. He's going to be big problems against one of the poorest run defense teams in Purdue today in this game.
It's the first home game of the Jared Parker era at Purdue while James Franklin brings the Nittany Lions out. We'll continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. You're watching the Big Ten on ABC. Getting set for Penn State and Purdue. Fresh off that big win last weekend over Ohio State. Let's go down to Rocky Boyman on the field.
You gotta bring your own juice. That's what James Franklin told his team this week. Certainly a much different environment than last week. 106,000 screaming fans with that whiteout crowd. The thing about that, these players won't be able to feed off the energy. They practiced that this week. They cut out the music in between periods, and again, an attempt to realize the environment they're playing in today.
That was the celebration, and the whiteout worked down to the field post-game. It'll be a different scene here today, but as Penn State fans know, looking at their schedule the rest of the way, 5 games that are certainly winnable and a shot at a double-digit win season and possibly still a shot at the Big Ten championship game. They're going to need some help along the way for that.
Can't get that ball on that tee. Start this game off, Beth, but beautiful day here today in Lafayette. I'll tell you, I walked on the field, saw the players warm up. They were excited to be on the field. We should get a good matchup early on. I know Purdue's fired up with their interim head coach.
It's not Halloween-type weather. It is actually hot and humid here today in West Lafayette with temperatures in the mid-70s. Penn State won the toss and elected to receive. It'll be Miles Sanders. Has a nice alleyway up the middle, breaking a tackle. A flag is down as Sanders is brought down out across the 40. Nice return by the youngster of 41 yards. For the true freshman out of Pittsburgh.
During the return, holding, return team, number 12, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, first down and 10.
So Penn State will start out with a penalty. They will also start out with sophomore Trace McSorley at quarterback, making his 8th career start and coming off the high of the win last week against Ohio State. He came up huge for them in the 4th quarter.
Well, he can extend the play. He's dangerous with his legs. The first 4 games, only 32 yards rushing. The last 3, Beth, 217 yards, handling the pressure. He's only 6 foot. His eyes down the field are tough to see. He's frequently moving around in the pocket. If they can disrupt him up front, this defense has a chance for Purdue.
Talking with James Franklin and Joe Moorhead, the offensive coordinator, they're trying to find that mix for Trace of we want him to run more, but we also want to make sure he's healthy for the last 5 games of the season. On a delay, this is Saquon Barkley getting to the outside, and he'll run it out to the 26-yard line. And Barkley is one of our impact guys today.
The heavy dose of Saquon Barkley today. Godwin is the receiver. He's normally the outside. He'll be moved into the slot. Evan Panfield, defensive end, he's sliding into the inside also today. And DeJuan Hunt, the cornerback for Purdue, will have a lot of action against Godwin and Hamilton in this game.
It's the first start for Juwan Johnson at wide receiver. Hamilton not in the starting lineup. This is Barkley with the catch out of the backfield. Back-to-back touches and back-to-back first downs. The big news today for the Boilermaker defense, they will be without their top guy again in Jake Raplogle.
I can't watch enough tape about him. He's the best player, not only on the defense, but on this entire team. He's stout, he's firm, and they will miss him getting in the backfield of a shifty quarterback like McSorley.
Now with an injury for the third time, they run the tunnel screen for the receiver Chris Godwin, the junior out of Middletown, Delaware, who had a 1,000-yard receiving season last year, just the third in Penn State history.
And we're already seeing the identity of this Penn State offense early on. Lots of perimeter stuff. Shoot the ball to the outside, get the defense running. Then here soon we'll see Saquon Barkley up the middle on that zone read.
McSorley working a lot out of the gun under Joe Moorhead, that first-year offensive coordinator, a former head coach at Fordham. Has time to throw. Will launch it deep down the middle. Blacknall coming back for it. Did he snag it one-handed and hold on? He did not. Incomplete at the 20-yard line.
This Penn State offense is about chunk plays. Not a lot of consistency on the catches in the intermediate passing range, but the receivers have to make a lot of 50-50 catches. That's one of the things right now with McSorley. That ball incomplete hitting the ground for Blacknall.
Four wide receivers here for Penn State on 3rd down and 10.
Purdue's one of the worst third down defenses on conversions. They must get off the field if they're going to have a chance in this football game.
Three-man rush. McSorley down the middle. Caught by his tight end, Mike Gesicki, their leading receiver so far this year, in a first down.
He's been a favorite target for the quarterback, and he's got great length. The thing last year, he had a lot of drops, and he did not concentrate. Excellent job in traffic. Two defenders closing in. Watch him just keep his eye on the balls, not worrying about the defenders around him, and snagging that one in. That's a huge play down the middle of the field.
23-yard catch, and that's a big conversion for Penn State. You talked about how bad the Boilermaker defense is. Penn State's offensive third down conversion numbers amongst the worst in the country. That'll be significant throughout the course of the day. Jawan Bentley worked his way into the backfield and a loss of one.
It's going to be a heavy dose for Barkley today. He can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He is really an exciting player to watch. At any point, at any play, he can break a big one, and that's what they're hoping for in this offense.
His 8 rushing touchdowns are tops in the Big Ten, and his 11 carries of over 20 yards, second best in the nation. He's got that big play potential. Number 1 is Donnell Pumphrey at San Diego State. Barkley out of the backfield, cuts it back to the middle, makes the catch, breaks a tackle, on his way, down inside the 5, diving for the pylon and out of bounds at the 3. It's 1st and goal, Penn State.
Best thing about McSorley in the passing game is when he goes the quick 1-2, find the check down. Watch him come out of the backfield, up the inside, and he's going to catch the ball. And like I said, he's hard to bring down. He's got tree trunks for legs, and at any given point, he can make a big play with that 37-yard catch.
And Anthony, the thing about Saquon Barkley is you think he's a scat back by how he moves so quickly, but down here on the field, he's a big guy going about 225 pounds, thick legs, just like you want out of a running back.
He's the offset back. They'll stick it in his belly and he'll score. Touchdown, Penn State. And an impressive opening drive. Just the start they were hoping for. If you were looking for signs of a letdown after last week's big win, you didn't see any there.
The defensive line for Purdue has to be active and set the tone at the line of scrimmage. Early on, this Penn State offensive line has moved the ball methodically on the first series. Easy touchdown early on for Penn State.
8 plays, 85 yards in 3.5 minutes. Half of those plays went for first downs. The Tyler Davis PAT is good.
Barkley's the man. He can do it, catching the ball, running the ball. Here he goes up the middle. Watch him today. He's a huge factor for this Penn State offense.
Cassidy, that is big news for Penn State fans because they need Michigan to lose twice in order to have a shot at the Big East title and get to the championship game.
And Michigan's been in the driver's seat early on. I mean, they haven't been defunct at all throughout the season. Michigan State, no one's talking about them, but early on, with that early lead, let's see if they can continue the stride there.
The thing about Michigan is how many points they're scoring this year. Number 3 scoring offense, 48.7 points per game. And here's the deal. This isn't a pro-style offense. Usually you see those video game type numbers out of these spread attacks, but they're still doing a good job in that traditional attack.
Very veteran team, lots of seniors. They understand the plan. And, of course, Coach Harbaugh's done a nice job of putting it together for him.
That'd be huge for Coach D'Antonio if he could get that win. As Purdue with their first possession. They'll start on the 24-yard line with David Blau at quarterback. The sophomore out of Carrollton, Texas, who is top 20 in the country in yards and yards per game.
Well, he can make all the throws. He's running a similar system to the Saints and Sean Payton. He watches a lot of Drew Brees. Windows in the pocket. He's only 6 foot. He has a hard time seeing through the alleys between the offensive linemen. He's got to get his head through those windows, find those spots, and deliver completions today.
Throws for nearly 300 yards per game. Number 7, D'Angelo Yancey, is his prime target and their big threat guy. And this pass goes to the tight end out across the 30, a pickup of 9 for Cole Herdman as we check out our impact players.
Well, Jones at running back's been nicked up with the shoulder. Yancey, you talked about him as a big target. Number 90, Sickles, huge game last week against Ohio State with 2.5 sacks. And Brandon Bell, the older, veteran-aged linebacker, is the guy to look for today.
Garrett Sickles, who was suspended for the first half last week, still making amends with the coaching staff. He will not start today, but we anticipate we will see him in short order.
2 things that Penn State's defense has to be aware of today. First of all is for Purdue going for it on 4th down. They did it a couple times last week, certainly will this week, and also gadget plays, throwbacks, double passes. This is a Purdue offense with nothing to lose right now. They've got to be prepared.
Yeah, in fact, they went for it 5 times last week on 4th down. They'll run it up the middle. Jason Kabinda with the tackle. Penn State, significant that they had Kabinda and Bell back in the linebacking core a week ago.
And interim coach Jared Parker's done a great job bringing some energy, bringing some fire to this football team. They played a great game last week against Nebraska. All 4 quarters, I saw great effort. They need to bring it today against a very good Penn State defense.
Was the wide receiver coach here until he replaced Darrell Hazel, who was fired last week. That's good for a first down to Cameron Posey. They had a good showing against Nebraska. In fact, had the lead at halftime, couldn't hang on against the Huskers, and now they're back home for the first time under Parker.
And moving it in between the 20s is something they did well. It's scoring in the red zone. Also 3rd down, that last 3rd down, a well-designed play, getting it to number 18, Posey, a slot receiver. They've been very good, ranking 22nd in the FBS.
They're going to run the jet sweep here to Bilal Marshall at a short gain.
And with Parker taking over for Darrell Hazel, I think it's important, Anthony, I think you'll agree, when you're going through a coaching change, you want to bring in a coach that's a little bit different in style. Hazel, very stoic in his nature. Parker's got energy just flowing out of his veins at all times, and I think the players are responding well to that.
On 2nd down, out of the gun for Blau, a former Elite 11 quarterback from his prep days. They're going to run another receiver screen. And Anthony, they talked about quick passes, quick hitches that will also help the offensive line today.
Yeah, it does. They're worried about the front 4, the rushers up front for Penn State. That's the pressure. They don't bring a lot of blitzes on 3rd down. These defensive linemen have done a phenomenal job, especially last week against Ohio State. And also, you build the confidence of your quarterback, Beth. Got a young sophomore. Let's get him some quick completions and help him out and be successful in this game.
On 3rd down and short. They'll pitch it to the back and down inside the 40-yard line, breaking tackles, 3 or 4 of them en route to a big gain down inside the 30 for Markel Jones and a pickup of 23.
Well, they show a lot of that read zone concept. They do the quick pitch on the outside, and the receiver number 18, Posey, does a nice job of cracking and giving Markel Jones a seam to get through. He's a powerful back himself, 210 pounds, 5'10". He's a young man that's been playing hurt. Very nice play to get them closer to the red zone.
Sophomore out of Columbus, Indiana. He's had a couple 100-yard rushing games this year. Blount hands it to Jones, and it's caught down inside the 20 and an 8-yard improv.
A little magic by Blount there. I like it. Flicking it, having awareness. That's the one thing you've seen out of him is his eyes are always downfield, and just when he's about to get hit, flips the ball out, just knowing where all the progressions are and finding the running back.
Running it right up the gut with Richie Worship, the redshirt freshman from Cleveland. Marcus Allen with the tackle. And a 9-yard gain down inside the 10. It's first and goal.
I think Worship was surprised how big that hole was. Great double team by the left guard, King, and the center, Barron. Right now, creating some disruption up front. It's a nice drive for this Purdue offense.
Just 65% scoring, just 48% touchdowns inside the red zone. Something that has to change for Purdue. On this, the 10th play of an impressive opening drive for the Boilermakers. Curtis Cawthron was the guy that moved up front for Penn State.
Offside. Defense, number 52. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
We're going to roll in a bunch of different D linemen throughout the day. Parker Cawthron, by the way, not playing today up front.
Well, in the red zone, they want to run the ball effectively. Number one, they showed that. But let's watch the tight end right here. An important clog, Cole Herdman, in this West Coast system. Terry Malone, the coordinator, likes getting it to the tight ends.
Brandon Bell trying to come off the edge, jump the gun. They'll run it up the middle on a free play. Well, apparently, as Bell got a head start. How about the response here from Purdue?
Defense, number 11. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
After Penn State rolled right down the field on them.
And they're showing great discipline as an offense. When you change the count up, you can't jump off sides trying to draw this defensive ball. That's twice in the last few plays.
High formation now from the 2. Markel Jones. John Reed was there waiting and shoves him out of bounds. No gain. And a late flag could be a late hit.
I saw eyes looking in for a hold, but they weren't fooled Penn State on that play like they were the first time early on.
Personal foul. Face mask. Defense. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic. First down.
Well, here we go. Penalty flags, especially down the red zone. Purdue take advantage of it. And Penn State has to clean up what they're doing right now defensively. Very undisciplined as they get deep down in Purdue in the red zone.
3 penalties on 3 consecutive plays for Penn State. Boilermakers will go with both tight ends, Herdman and Hopkins, lining up on the left side.
You want to show and give your offensive line a vote of confidence here, especially when you get tight. You let the big uglies push this D-line back.
Jones following that O-line up the middle. Touchdown, Purdue.
That's exactly the spark that this team needed. Drive all the way down the field. They give an unbalanced look there on the offensive side. Get some big guys to push back this very good defensive line of Penn State. And I'll tell you, that said the statement early, Beth, with that drive.
Penn State scoring on its first possession. Purdue responding with a long scoring drive. J.D. Dellinger will attempt to tie it up. Right back at the Nittany Lions. 10 plays, 77 yards in just over 5 minutes.
Put it on the backs of the offensive line, and the big uglies get pushed on this defensive line, making it easy for Markel Jones for the touchdown.
Timeout.
College football presented by K Jewelers. For 100 years, every kiss begins with K. And in part by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. And Buick, proud partner of the NCAA.
Nothing cool or crisp about a game of cornhole pregame. It is a warm and humid day here in West Lafayette. A reminder tonight at 8 o'clock on ABC. Unbeaten in third-ranked Clemson taking on number 12 Florida State. The Noles have owned them down in Tally. They've won 11 of the last 12 matchups. Can the Tigers stay unbeaten tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC? And a connection that we'll tell you about with Dabo Swinney, the head coach at Clemson, and the interim head coach here at Purdue, Jared Parker. We've had some conversations in recent days. Dabo, before he became the interim coach and ultimately the head coach at Clemson, was a wide receiver coach, just like Jared Parker. We're going to kick this one short. Sanders trying to run up to it, and it will go out of bounds. After Parker reached out to Swinney, Dabo actually got back, called Jared, and talked about this. Don't focus on the scoreboard. Don't focus on the results.
Placed to the 35-yard line.
6-minute call. He said, just gave him some pointers, some tips. I think it's a class act. I mean, he didn't have to get a hold of him. He's got the national championship aspirations ahead of him, worried about Florida State this week. And, I think Parker really took that as a huge vote of confidence and really maybe loosened him up a little bit as a head coach. First-time interim head coach for him.
By the way, that season back in 2008, Dabo took a 500 team and got them to a bowl game, and even more importantly, got them a win over South Carolina. And he ended up getting named the head coach before the end of that season. So Parker would love to follow that kind of path. Second down coming up after the Boilermakers get to McSorley.
And really, he's playing with house money, right, Beth? I mean, there's nothing to lose here. All these players should be loose. The coaching staff should be loose. And they just go out there and give their best effort and see what happens.
Penn State rolled right down the field on the Boilermakers their first possession. And McSorley dumped back at the 25 by Evan Panfill and a loss of 10.
Remember, James Franklin told his team to bring their own juice today. It's almost like they're bringing too much juice. Defensively, 3 straight offsides penalties, overrunning some plays and chasing down the run game. And here offensively, the offensive line just looks a little bit jittery out there. You got to be energetic, but it's got to be a controlled aggression out there.
Still adjusting to the loss of the injured Andrew Nelson. They've had to move some guys around up front. Much improved still over what they were a year ago. On third down, McSorley flushed on the run. He'll chuck it. Marcus Bailey and Tim Kaysen were coming on strong.
Well, when you get in 3rd and 17, that's the biggest thing here.
Outside the pocket.
That pressure is the most concerning thing. Watch number 21 shoot in the hole once all the offensive linemen are engaged, and the running back has to go outside, and he just chases him down, and that really is enough to get McSorley out of the pocket and throw the ball away. That's a heck of a defensive effort by Purdue.
Marcus Bailey, the redshirt freshman out of Columbus, Ohio, was the guy that brought the heat. Bilal Marshall is back deep to receive the punt. And it's a good one, chasing him back inside the 25. Will get up a good head of speed, takes a lick out at the 45-yard line. And a return of 22. A closer look at the Boilermakers special when we come back.
Timeout.
Purdue and Penn State tied at 7. Well, Rocky Boyman caught up with the official mascot of Purdue University, and it's not Purdue Pete. It's the Boilermakers Special, which is today's AT&T Inside Access.
We're here with Brett and Eris of the Reamer Club. They're going to show us what this Boilermaker Special is all about. The biggest college mascot. Now, Bevo the Bull, the Longhorn down in Texas, 2 tons. How much does this bad boy weigh?
This is approximately 6 tons.
Now, our own Beth Moen, she went to Lafayette. They're the Lafayette Leopards. Leopards pretty fast. How fast is this?
This has a top speed of 75 miles per hour.
My man right there. Boiler up! Boiler up! All right.
My goodness. You couldn't double my salary here at ESPN to get me to pull the horn and wave to the crowd. You look like a modern-day Mr. Rogers out there. I like it.
Listen, Anthony, my son, Bo, he's 2.5 years old. He loves trains. I was channeling my inner kid, all right? Hey, listen, the fans around town were saying, hey, what's Andy Dalton doing here? Shouldn't he be over in London playing the Redskins today? What's going on?
Wow.
It's not Thomas the Train. It's the Boilermaker Special. And
I give Rocky a lot of credit. He does a heck of a job as our field analyst, not only calling the game with me, but getting in trains and doing some of the other craziness that I obviously decline to do sometimes.
Anthony, you're too cool for school. I'm having fun down here.
I'm a little too cool for school sometimes. You're right.
well, Purdue has been bringing some energy early on. Both teams scoring on their first possessions today, and then a stout defensive effort by Purdue gets them the ball back here. For Penn State, number 90 in white, their defensive lineman Garrett Sickles, who was such a thorn in the side of Ohio State last week, he's back out there after not getting the start today.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he played angry in the game last week against Ohio State. Didn't start the first half. He's on the bottom of the screen. Number 90, look for him in third down situation here to bring that pressure.
3rd and 10, Blau right down the middle, caught at the Penn State 40-yard line, and a pickup of 15, first down and a third down conversion.
You don't see too many completions down the middle because those windows blind his eyes. That's a heck of a job releasing the ball, getting the first down. Sickles was definitely putting that pressure on the outside. Good job by Blau releasing that football in the completion.
We'll talk a lot today about the comparisons with Drew Brees being a former Purdue quarterback, running a similar system to what the Saints run. And Blau's actually a little bit taller than Drew, but still, those sight lines down the middle sometimes hard to find as he throws that one away. And one of the reasons, Anthony, why his numbers may not be the best, because he makes good decisions like that when there's nowhere to go with it.
Yeah, a true sophomore. He's got a lot of playing experience from last year. I really like this kid on and off the field. He's very smart. He's a rat in the weight room, in the film room. He's really soaking in everything Terry Malone, the offensive coordinator, has brought to the table, and he's gotten better every single game. Right now, Wildcat, number 3, Bilal Marshall's in the backfield. He's a runner when he gets the ball on this play.
Let's send Worship in motion and actually throw it to him. Down inside the 35 and a gain of about 8. Malik Golden with the tackle.
Here's what's interesting about that play, Beth. They kept David Blau in the formation on the field. Look for potentially down the road some sort of quarterback throwback to David Blau.
And look at me, I'm watching tape. I have not seen him throw a pass yet, and they come out throwing. So now, that's perfect against his defense because you have to worry about several options now. I would anticipate a run on this play out of the Wildcat.
We talked about this with an interim coach and a 3-4 record. They are playing like they've got nothing to lose. It has been freeing in some ways for them. On a 3rd and 3 here, they're going to come up short. And is this a situation we've talked about with them where you're going to go for it on 4th down?
Yeah, this is no question. They're going to go for this one. Anytime, he said the -40 going in, that's 60 yards of real estate there to go for it. And this is something Brent Pry on defense, the defensive coordinator for Penn State, has to be ready for. They're going to stick with this Wildcat. Let's see if they can get themselves 3 yards here on 4th down.
We're 2 of 5 a week ago against Nebraska. Marshall will pitch it to Jones, and he's got it. Got out of the grasp with Garrett Sickles for first down yardage. And a gain of 7.
That's a nice play. We've seen a pass, a run, and then a shovel pass. Garrett Sickles almost gets his hand here, but Markel Jones does a nice job of spinning away from him and getting up the football field. Nice conversion on 4th down.
Marshall, by the way, is their 3rd-string quarterback and a former high school QB. Another jet sweep. This one to Malik Kimbrough. Ball popped out, but he was whistled down.
A lot of effective offense is finding a way to keep a defense on its heels. So when you bring in a package they haven't seen before, a wildcat with a wide receiver back there, now all of a sudden the defense is out there thinking instead of reacting. Good plan right now by Purdue.
Watch for trick plays. You talked about it, Rocky. Looks like they're setting up one.
That was remnants of a fumble-rooski.
Yeah.
Kimbrough, I think, is the guy that ended up with it.
Yeah, they had Marshall take the snap. Watch the lineman stand up, get big. Kimbrough's the smallest receiver. Tucks it under, but number 19 sees the ball underneath. Torrance Brown. Doesn't work like I saw it in practice on Thursday, Beth. But those are the trick plays Rocky's talking about that Penn State has to keep their discipline on.
Purdue does not have starting tailback Markel Jones right now. He's out getting some medical attention. Screen. And it's a good one. Another first down and more for Purdue inside the 10 to David Yancey. First and goal, Boilermakers.
Something they haven't been successful with is the screen game. Right there, perfectly well designed. Number 70, Roos, their best offensive lineman, got out in front, led the charge for a 19-yard gain.
Final 30 seconds of this first quarter. They will stay with Richie Worship. Offset with Blau. They'll run it again. Lost a yard or two. Good push that time by the Penn State defense led by Sharif Miller, a redshirt freshman out of Philly. A lot of young guys rolling in and out of this Nittany Lion lineup today. As the final seconds will tick away, it is an energized Purdue Boilermakers side. Tied with number 24 Penn State, and they are knocking on the door looking for an early lead. And we'll continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Bowl Playoff Top 25 Ranking Show, Tuesday at 7 on ESPN.
How about a look at the Purdue offense so far today? We told you they were going to take some chances and show some different looks. So far they have with the Wildcat, a fourth down conversion and a failed trick play. But they are down inside the 10-yard line, looking at second and goal and looking for the lead. Blau with Sickles bearing down on him, finds his tight end. Down inside the 1. And the catch by Cole Herdman.
Talked about he's a favorite target of red zone. That's going to be close there as he catches that ball at the goal line. He's got the ball in his body, goes down. The elbow does touch, so he is short. It's a good spot. They're speeding it up here, the tempo.
Thrown out to the edge. Touchdown. Cameron Posey. And Purdue has the lead on Penn State.
I've been impressed, Beth, with Purdue right now. Back-to-back series and drives right down the field against this Penn State defense has played well last week against one of the top teams in the country, and they're basically going through them like Swiss cheese early on.
Penn State held Ohio State to just 21 points in their upset last week. They've given up 14 points with this PAT in just over 15 minutes. 13 plays, 55 yards in 5.5 minutes. And Posey's first touchdown of the year.
Momentum is all Purdue right now on the outside. Watch number 88 with the great block, holding it on the poor throw. And Posey able to get in and sneak in at the pylon. 14-7 Purdue.
And now for today's Aflac trivia question. Drew Brees holds 5 career Big Ten records, including over 11,000 passing yards. What we want to know, though, is which non-conference opponent did he have the most passing yards against in his career, 3 years here as a starter? Our Aflac trivia question.
Non-conference.
For you guys to chew on. Beth Mowens, Anthony Becht of West Virginia, Rocky Boyman of Notre Dame. And a bit of a surprise thus far. Purdue with the lead over Penn State, who is back in the rankings for the first time in 5 years after their upset win over Ohio State, and somebody had a knee down. Koa Farmer there back inside the 20. We are at, of course, the cradle of quarterbacks against linebacker U today. And some notables over the years at Purdue, including Lenny Dawson and Bob Greasy and Drew Brees, who all went on to win Super Bowls as well.
Heck, you could add Kyle Orton, Curtis Painter, and those Tiller days with Brees. Listen, a lot of gunslingers have come through, and right now is Blau the next one. Again, only a true sophomore. He has been on point, Beth. 8 for 11, 69 yards, a touchdown. He's been cool, calm, collective in the pocket, and delivered accuracy in his passes.
Well, they're looking for some consistency. It has been a revolving door at quarterback the last 5 or 6 years. Trace McSorley, deep downfield. Godwin tried to haul it in with one hand, incomplete. First drive for Penn State, they scored a touchdown, went 85 yards. The second drive for the Nittany Lions, negative 10 yards. And Deshaun Hamilton is now on the field for Penn State. He did not get the start today. Number 5 is slotted right. McSorley, a designed run for him, shoved out of bounds by Bentley at the 25. Rocky?
Yeah, one thing I'm seeing a lot down here is movement by the Purdue defensive line. They know they can't go toe-to-toe with this Penn State offensive line, so they're slanting gaps, twist games, stunts, things like that, trying to confuse that line.
3rd and 4. And the left side of the line jumped for Penn State. Ryan Bates. Is it going to be offsides, though, against Purdue?
Offside, defense, number 9. 5-yard penalty, results in a first down.
That's one of the guys replacing the injured Jake Raploga, Lorenzo Neal.
Yeah, and he had a nice game last week. Number 9's going to jump off sides. He's a true freshman. They really like him. 6'2", 345. Kind of the opposite of his body of his dad, Lorenzo Neal, the great NFL fullback that led the way for LaDainian Tomlinson for the San Diego Chargers.
And the penalty will get Penn State the first down. From the 32, McSorley looking for Barkley out of the backfield. He's got almost all of their offensive yardage so far in the first half, spinning out across midfield. And another first down and a 21-yard gain.
Yeah, he's so dynamic in the outside. And again, just put the ball in an area you can catch it. You think number 21, Bailey's in place to make a tackle, but he's so quick. You better wrap up at him and you better gang tackle against him, because if you don't, he's going to make you look silly.
Andre Robinson now in at tailback. The freshman from Mechanicsburg. The fake to him from McSorley, looking deep downfield for Charles, incomplete. And a flag coming on the coverage of Josh Hayes.
Yeah, and they're going to get Hayes, number 23, pulling the jersey of number 11, Irvin Charles. Charles, a 6'4", 220-pound receiver. And again, those 50-50 balls, we're seeing a bunch of those right now to the wide receivers, letting them try to go up there and make a play.
Before the pass was in the air, holding, defense, number 23, 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Charles was the intended receiver. He's only got one catch all season, but that one catch was an 80-yard touchdown.
Now you see him pull that jersey just prior to that catch, and Josh Hayes is a true freshman. He's going to learn. He's going to take the bumps. The one thing, though, that defensive coordinator Ross Ells talked about with these guys, be aggressive in coverage. We're going to allow you guys to go man-to-man. Don't be scared to go up and make a play. A few things could happen. They could catch it, or you might get a pass interference, but you could deflect the ball down. Right there you get a holding, but again, a lot more aggressive at the defensive back position.
Back to Barkley and wrapped up immediately. Saquon so far in the first half has 81% of the Nittany Lions' total yardage. Jawan Bentley with the stop.
Bentley, 250 pounds, coming off an MCL, ACL tear last year. A little slow to get back his speed. Today, it looks very quick and on point, making some big tackles early on.
McSorley, good protection on second down. Drops it underneath Godwin. A lot of room in front of him. Good blocking downfield by Saeed Blacknall. touchdown, Penn State, 38 yards.
Godwin's going to run a simple crossing pattern, and it's an easy throw for Nick Sorley. Watch him come across the field. They were worried about this. There's nobody covering Godwin. Wide open, a lot of green grass out front, and he gets a block by Blacknall. Nobody home to make the tackle. Not a very good design there on the defensive side, and communication, Beth, has been an issue.
Godwin was able to jog in there the last 10 yards. Good block upfield by his buddy Blacknall, and the extra point will tie it at 14.
Easy throw, easy catch. Godwin jogging into the end zone. One of the easiest scores of the year for Penn State.
College football presented by K Jewelers. Brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. Pacific Life, helping generations of families achieve long-term financial security for over 145 years. And BMW. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine.
With Halloween on Monday night, that's Evil on Erie, an old warehouse here in Lafayette that is supposedly haunted. Every Halloween, volunteers will transform that into a public haunted house. We are tied at 14, Penn State and Purdue. They're making some bacon. You got hot dogs, bananas, all kinds of stuff going on this Halloween weekend. And the touchback. We gave you the Aflac trivia question earlier. Drew Brees, with all his passing against Big Ten opponents, which non-conference foe did he do the most damage against?
I'm going to take a guess, Beth, before we give the answer. I'm going to say Notre Dame.
You would be right. Almost 800 passing yards against the Fighting Irish. And here he is in action. Of course, highlighted by that 2000 trip to the Rose Bowl. Last time that the Boilermakers were there. Drew Brees on to that terrific career, of course, in the NFL. That included the Super Bowl.
And soon after that shredding, they recruited a young linebacker named Rocky Boyman to help defend the middle of the field, and it was never the same since.
I'm just happy I didn't appear on that highlight, okay? They had some bad games against Drew Brees.
The completion out across the 30 to Bryson Hopkins. But you know what? You did have a nice play. We're going to have a forced fumble right here by Rocky
Hey,
Boyman.
look at that guy.
Was that targeting?
Got his helmet right in there to make the play back in the day.
Look at that.
Keep your head. Got to keep your head up, Rocky. Come on now. Look at this guy. He's got no neck. I figured he had a neck brace on back in college.
The hair was a lot better back then, too. A little longer.
It was flowing. You were the Clay Matthews before Clay Matthews.
Rocky, you can take solace in knowing that Drew Brees was 0-3 as a starter against Notre Dame.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was tremendous playing against him. And back in those Drew Brees, Joe Tiller days, they were running the spread before the spread was cool. I just remember constantly during that game, the ball out of Brees' hands so quickly. You're rushing against the passer, you finally beat your man, and boom, that ball is out of there. Tremendously frustrating playing that guy.
Playing against Notre Dame, the Aflac trivia question answer. I know you still have nightmares on this Halloween weekend of playing against Matt Light. Their stud O-lineman from that era. They're going to throw the receiver screen here to Posey, who's got a touchdown catch today. Out to the 43-yard line.
Beth, you mentioned Matt Light. I remember my junior year playing against Purdue at our place, hottest day ever, and I'm rushing the passer against this left tackle. I'm like, my God, this guy is really, really good. Well, it turned out it was Matt Light, so every time he won another Super Bowl, I felt just a little bit better about my lack of production that day.
You helped him. You helped him grow.
That's right. I was like, got him drafted. There you go.
Hey, I'm sticking to that story. I like it.
Third down, Blau is 4 for 4 when he's had to throw it. Looking to toss one here again. And he's 5 for 5 on the day across midfield on third downs.
And you see some of those pro-style concepts. Timeout. The bunch on the bottom of the screen. Watch the pick routes here to get Posey on the outside, inside. Free. 2 Purdue bodies right here, clogging it all up. It's a nice job. It's the tight end. Again, doing some other things in this offense outside of just catching and blocking. Number 89, Hopkins.
That was Malik Golden, who was shaken up on the play for Penn State, the starting safety. Coming up later on today on ESPN, it's Northwestern and Ohio State. And then college football primetime tonight, Nebraska and Wisconsin. It's Big Saturday in the Big Ten. Both those games are on ESPN, also streaming on your app. And Nebraska going into that matchup tonight undefeated at 7-0, but the Badgers have won the last 3. The Huskers are tearing it up on the scoreboard behind Tommy Armstrong against a really good Wisconsin defense who will be without their leading tackler, Jack Sitchie, today.
Yeah, Nebraska offensively was a little stale against Purdue last week. They were able to get that win, but Purdue hung with them like they're doing tonight against Penn State. And with Wisconsin, you did. The linebackers are hurt. The Eagles hurt. You talked about Sitchie. Those are some core players in that 3-4 defense that really make that defense hum. I think there's going to be some opportunities for Nebraska to make some plays.
Think about that Wisconsin D, though. They've only given up 8 touchdowns this year. So you're right, though. They're going to be without Sitchie, who I love watching, by the way. They found a way to tighten up most of the year. They got to do it here today.
David Blau right now, 12 for 15, 106 yards. He has hit his last 7 throws in a row. The direct snap, the Wildcat to Marshall. Stuffed right at the line of scrimmage.
I like this mix with the Wildcat, kind of keeping Penn State on their heels. You bring a young, energetic coach with some new ideas, keeping it fresh, making it fun and exciting with these guys when you have the transition. So far, it's worked perfectly in this football game.
I'm telling you right now, I would bet money on it. They keep David Blau in at quarterback. When they go to that Wildcat, at some point, look for a double pass. They chuck it out to him, and then the receiver goes up the field. Blau hits him. Just watch for it.
It's back to Blau here out of the shotgun. Almost picked off, tipped up in the air by Koa Farmer, who jumped the route. That is one of the bugaboos for David Blau. 11 interceptions. That is the most in FBS this year.
And the linebackers have gotten a lot of play, especially the depth. Number 7, Farmer's going to read eyes. That's all he does. He's got a nice view and angle, sees that quick slant to quick drop. He turns around. That's a very nice job. But looking for keys, something the defensive coordinator talked about. They must be true to it in this game.
Can they disrupt Blau here on 3rd down? He's hit 5 for 5 on his throws, 4 of those picking up the first down yardage. And they do finally disrupt him. 4th down, intended for Yancey.
And usually the sure-handed Yancey's able to pull that in, takes a big shot.
An injured player.
Penn State players collide on that play. Reed, number 29, takes the brunt of it from his own player on tight coverage.
Marcus Allen was the guy that broke up the pass, and Reed,
full media timeout.
One of their starting corners, sophomore out of Mount Laurel, New Jersey.
And he's one heck of a cover corner. Real tight. And you see he gets legged whipped by his own player, number 2, Marcus Allen.
Back here at Purdue, 14 all, Penn State and the Boilermakers, and a 4th down coming up. They've already gone for it once. They are well outside of their field goal range, so they're going to go for it again. 4th and 9. David Blau, the pass incomplete, looking for Yancey and a flag. D'Angelo had a couple of white jerseys around him.
And Yancey really wasn't open or ready for this ball. They're going to get number 2,
Pass
Allen.
interference. Defense, number 2. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Franklin does not like that call at all.
Well, you're going to see Yancey's going to break inside. The ball's coming. You see the left arm pulling on Yancey's left arm right there. Clear pull and hold by the defensive back.
And Anthony, he didn't have to do it at all. Allen was in perfect position on play just behind the wide receiver. All he's got to do is reach that right hand out, and said he pulled with the backside on.
1st and 10 Purdue from just outside the 20. They're going to run it with Markel Jones, and a flag is down. John Reed, by the way, has not returned to cornerback for Penn State.
Offense, number 89. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Amani Oruwariye is now on for the Nittany Lions.
Did they just call a hold on the tight end? Come on, Beth.
I was trying to get through that without you noticing, but
you know, when you're blocking defensive ends, it's always a tough block, and they get number 89, Bryson Hopkins, who they really like at the tight end position. Young, 6'5", 240 pounds, but still learning how to block in this pro-style offense.
And now Reed returns. They've got their nickel package on with Kabinda and Bell at linebacker. Purdue will run it. That's Richie Worship. Short game back down to the 25, a pickup of 5.
And a name we've not called yet today for Penn State is their defensive end, Garrett Sickles. Now, I know he missed the first couple plays, but last week, absolute beast versus Ohio State. 2.5 sacks, 3.5 tackles for loss, played like a man possessed. So this very horizontal, quick passing nature of Purdue's attack is neutralizing him.
He's trying to come off the right side here, and here comes Sickles, but Blau quickly gets rid of it for another short gain. It's going to bring up 3rd and long. Actually lost a yard there.
Yeah, Roos has got some turf stuck in his knee brace on this grass here as he goes down, but Roos is their alpha male, per se, of this team. He's the weight room guy, the strongest offensive lineman. Take off his helmet. I saw him on Thursday. He's got a beard down to about the middle of his chest. He's a scary, imposing looking guy. I thought it was Halloween early on when I saw number 70, but he is a manhandling offensive lineman up front.
They've got a challenge here on 3rd and 16. They find the tight end down to the 25, and that'll bring up 4th down.
Yeah, this will be tough to convert on a 4th down. They're going to bring the field goal kicker out on this opportunity here, Beth.
Penalty really stalled that drive out for Purdue. And now they'll try for 3. J.D. Dellinger, he's 4 of 7 on the season. This is his first attempt in 3 games. This would be a 42-yarder. Got the distance, and it's good. Best of the year for Dellinger, who also had a game-winning field goal in overtime for their lone Big Ten win this year against Illinois. The Boilermakers are back on top. .6:57 to go in the first half. Purdue with a lead over Penn State, 17-14. Career-long 42-yard field goal from J.D. Dellinger. And the Boilermakers are back on top. Kick to Sanders, and he's going to be taken down around the 13-yard line. Good coverage by Purdue. Let's take a look at today's Good Hands play, brought to you by Allstate at a Penn State touchdown.
That Willis Godwin up top here. He's going to run that route. Watch, they got man-to-man coverage on the bottom of the screen, but they have zone on the top where Godwin is. Now freeze it right there. With the zone, the Barkley's coming out. They have a guy to defend. Bentley decides to go that way instead of running with Godwin across the field. And there's nobody home. Bentley's caught behind. Godwin's jogging. He's got a blocker out front. And might be the easiest touchdown he's ever scored in his career, Beth.
And Bentley was expecting, I think, to pass that route off, Anthony. The linebackers got to communicate if you're going to take your man or you're going to zone it off. Right there, they didn't.
It was a 38-yard touchdown to Godwin. Let's check in with Cassidy Hubbard. Cassidy, that's a couple of unbeatens. Of course, you're watching your Mountaineers closely.
Well, anytime you turn the ball over, I cringe. That's any team in the country. You can't do it and expect to win games. It is a tight one, though, against Oklahoma State.
Barkley is the motion man. And the pass complete to Deshaun Hamilton, who was open at the 30, first down. Well, let's talk about those Mountaineers, Anthony, because you've got them right now close to getting into the playoff.
Yeah, you know, I slid them up, Bev, because I'll tell you what, they're in the Big 12. The one thing they don't do in the Big 12 is play defense. Tony Gibson, the defensive coordinator, has done a nice job. They tackled to the football. You might not know any of their players in particularly, but they play great team defense. And I'll tell you, that's huge when you're talking about playing the bigger teams outside the Big 12.
West Virginia is impressed this year. The only thing, Anthony, what about their out-of-conference schedule? Youngstown State, BYU, Missouri would be that best win. I don't know if that's going to be enough to get them in the playoff with that out-of-conference schedule being weak.
Well, listen, you win them all, and potentially an undefeated Baylor at the end of the season. I mean, that's looking forward, Rocky, but again, it's hard to take away if you run the table. I'm not saying they are, but we'll see what happens.
But I think, too, got Oklahoma coming up in a couple weeks, about a month. They make a statement win there. That could go a long way.
Got a third down coming up here. Barkley was wrapped up. Penn State's got it at the 36-yard line.
Talked about our impact player, Panfill. He's at the bottom of the screen. Their best pass rusher. Leads the team in sacks and TFLs.
Getting the edge is Barkley, and he's got the first down out across the 45-yard line. Leroy Clark able to trip him up. So on this possession, after they kind of lost Saquon for a time or two, they're going back to him here.
And a perfect example right there of just too much speed. Number 13, Jalen Robinson on the outside had no shot. That speed to get outside, that burst, I'm telling you, it really separates him with a lot of backs in the country.
He'll catch his breath now. It's Mark Allen, the sophomore out of Hyattsville, Maryland, coming on. McSorley will fake to him. Jalen Robinson didn't buy the fake. And McSorley shoved out at the 48.
Yeah, welcome. Tim Kaysen right there, number 24, bringing it. But that's the element, again, that's very dangerous. You see a lot of that in third down scrambles, but that read option element, that's a part that they have to be disciplined on defense.
McSorley makes it really tough, though, too, Anthony, how he really rides that fake down there. It freezes the linebackers. They want to get that pass run key. It makes it tough, but right now Purdue doing an excellent job with that zone read fake.
Did a lot of work, Rocky, with Joe Moorhead in the offseason and continues that tutelage. He's looking for the deep ball to Blacknall. Incomplete. Flag will fly from all sides as, again, Josh Hayes called for interference for the second time.
Yeah, they're picking on the true freshman right now. And I'll tell you, to be honest with you, I saw the good closing speed by him. He's got to trust his instincts. He's definitely going to grab. But to me, he's in the right spot. If you just get your head around, you see the receiver start to slow down and make a play on the football will help him, again, going through those ups and downs as a true freshman.
But if that might have been a smart penalty there. He was able to recover, but if he doesn't hold him, that's a touchdown. Here in college football, it's only a 15-yard penalty versus the NFL where it's a spot foul.
Barkley comes back in a tailback. Gesicki, the tight end, is the motion man. They're going to throw it to Godwin. Cut down at the 20-yard line. First down, Penn State, and a gain of 17.
And again, that's the run-pass option. You see him, like Rocky was talking about, the long fake, pulls down the strong safety, opens up the zone, and Godwin gets himself really a huge open space catch.
McSorley will keep. Another good work at the mesh point again there, and decides to keep it.
Now check it out, the last play here. He's going to draw down the strong safety with this long held down fake. Watch him come downhill. He gets out of that zone, and right there, that's where the space is filled by Godwin.
Under 3 minutes to go in the half. They're down 3. McSorley, terrific protection, trying to lob it over the top to Gesicki. Good coverage by the backer, Marcus Bailey.
That's a long developing route for Gesicki. Reason why is he's a little hobbled right now. He's got an ankle injury. That left ankle's heavily wrapped, and you don't see that speed and burst coming out of that break. Ran an inside route to the outside, up the sidelines, and it just wasn't fast enough.
They're down in 5. Looks like the Boilermakers have taken Josh Hayes out of the game. And they brought in Mike Little at one of the corners. And James Franklin running down the sideline to call the timeout.
Timeout. Penn State.
It's their first?
Their first of the half. 30-second timeout.
We'll kick off your NFL Week 8 on Sunday on ESPN. First at 10 a.m. Eastern, it's the NFL Insiders, the Sunday edition. And then at 11 o'clock, the Sunday NFL Countdown Crew. Both of those shows also streaming live on your ESPN app. You got what, Cowboys and Eagles, one of the marquee matchups this weekend?
It really is. Two rookie quarterbacks. Dak Prescott for the Cowboys. I'll tell you, I've been impressed by his game, his skill set, and his poise in the pocket. And Carson Wentz has been shredding the NFL right now. It's been nice to see him make that jump to an FCS school at North Dakota State, who actually ran the same offense, Beth, as Coach Doug Peterson has him running in Philadelphia.
How about for Dallas? Are you Team Romo or Team Dak at this point?
I'm Team Dak.
I like that.
If he were to lose 2 games in a row, I would say you could bring Romo back, but right now it's Dak Prescott's show.
Don't mess with the streak. 3rd and 5 for Penn State out of the timeout.
Trying to get the perfect call on the sidelines with this defense. A lot of guys moving around on Purdue.
Boilermakers showing pressure from the right side. Here they come. McSorley incomplete at the goal line. And it's 4th down.
Now, they get man-to-man coverage with one of his favorite targets, Gesicki, but again, just not the breakaway speed to separate from the corner route off the strong safety.
And Anthony, he put too much air underneath that ball with his wind swirling around, but it just caught it and hung up there. A little less trajectory on it. I think that's a touchdown.
A 33-yard field goal attempt here from Tyler Davis, who's 11 for 12. His school record of 18 straight snapped against Ohio State last week. And Davis will get right back on the horse, and it's good to tie it at 17. 2:36 to go. Well, we talked a minute ago about your playoff picture for you and for Rocky, and a reminder that the first rankings from the committee, the release is upon us. Tuesday night at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Those first rankings will come out leading up to Selection Day on December 4th. Then the 2 semifinals on New Year's Eve at the Peach and the Fiesta, with the national championship in your hometown of Tampa on January 9th.
I'm looking forward to that. Now, I will say, I'm interested to see where Ohio State is in this first ranking, because the eye candy poll, the AP poll, which I don't look at, but we're all forced to, has them at 6. Now, you just lost to an unranked team in Penn State, and all of a sudden you only trickle back a couple spots. To me, I just think that they maybe fall back a little more, maybe that 10 area, 11 area, and you see what their schedule looks like, Beth. I mean, listen, they got games that get them back in it. Of course, this last one right here is going to be a showdown against Michigan. But for me, the game they put on, the tape they put on against Penn State was not appealing, and I don't think it garners a number 6 AP poll ranking.
Michigan already has a win over Penn State, so they would have the tiebreaker there. And, of course, the Nittany Lions would have a tiebreak over the Buckeyes. Rocky?
And, Anthony, I think when you're seeing that number 6 rank, wondering why they're not dropping down, I think there's a little Urban Meyer effect there, right? I think people have seen what Urban Meyer's capable of doing, and certainly that Ohio State team, any other team, and I think any other coach, maybe besides Nick Saban, and Ohio State falls a little bit more because their schedule is certainly much more backloaded now into that end game there in Ann Arbor.
Well, it's been back and forth, Beth, with this game. I mean, touchdown for touchdown, kick for kick. Can Purdue stay up with this? Offense has been perfect so far. Can they continue to trend and continue to move the ball down the field?
David Blau's been solid, 14 of 19 through the air, 107 yards. They set up the screen there for the tight end, Herdman. Well covered by Jason Kabinda, who had 13 tackles last week. Brandon Bell had 18. Manny Bowen had 12. The linebackers were terrific in that Buckeye win.
Yeah, they really will. And they finally got them back in that game. And, Kabinda is the commander-in-chief on the field, number 40 right here. He makes all the signals. He comes to the line of scrimmage, gets everyone set up. He runs the show for the defense.
Blau has to step up, gets the pass away to Markel Jones, and there is Kabinda along with Bell again at the 30.
One thing about these linebackers, Beth, is they tackle really, really well. Kabinda and Bell. Linebackers, yes, you want big plays, you want sacks, you want interceptions, but at the end of the day, your job as a backer is to tackle people, and they do it with some of the best in the country.
Well, of course, you know you've got to be pretty special if you're going to a place called Linebacker U, and they have certainly cranked out some good ones over the years. And, in fact, in the last 9 years, you've had 9 different guys drafted and moving on to the NFL.
Well, how important are those 2 linebackers for this defense? You know, that game coming back, Rocky talked about good tacklers.
Yeah.
They combined for 31 tackles, just them 2 players alone last week against Ohio State. We talked about the maturity level of number 11 in Bell, what he brings to the table. He's kind of the old man. They refer him as the crafty veteran on the football team as he dissects the plays. But the animations at the line of scrimmage, watch Kabinda, number 40. He's really impressive how he takes over. He's like the defensive coordinator on the field. They love him at that position, and it's great to have those 2 players back on the field.
And, of course, there's one of the greatest of all time, Jack Ham, the former All-American, now in the radio booth for Penn State. Part of that steel curtain defense as well with the Pittsburgh Steelers. D'Angelo Yancey diving out of bounds. He remembered how much time was left on the clock and decided he'd step out with 1:50 to go.
And this will be a big decision here. It's a 4th down opportunity. Now, we said the minus 40. They're a little behind that right now, Beth. And I think Coach Parker is going to mill this out. He looked like he'll probably kick it here. I think it's the right decision. It's good to be aggressive, but let's not get crazy in a football game. You're in a close one. You've done the work so far to keep it close. Trust your defense.
Let's remember now, Penn State special teams huge last week, including a blocked punt and a blocked field goal.
A little late getting the player off. They get the snap off in time, and they don't.
So Shopper will boot it away. And a fair catch. There were only 10 Nittany Lions left on the field for that 37-yard boot. They're celebrating its 12th year, sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds. So now you're Penn State with a minute 43 to go and a chance for the lead before the break. The guy that they had been picking on, Josh Hayes, is not in the lineup right now. Replaced by Mike Little down at the bottom of your screen. They're going to run it with Barkley. Trying to get to the outside. Stays in bounds, taken down by DeJuan Hunt after an 8-yard gain.
And it's good to see the young quarterback here run this 2-minute offense. You got 1 timeout. The clock's ticking down. You want to get yourself in position to score. Be patient, deliver the passes, and get some big run yards.
Stepping up. Incomplete drop by Deshaun Hamilton at midfield. 1:11 to go. It's 3rd and 2.
Deshaun Hamilton's got to get his hands turned the other way. He tries to catch it with his pinkies together. You got to get your hands back the other way. Now you got yourself a 3rd down opportunity with the clock stopped. Purdue, depending on how they do on this play, might get the ball back.
Barkley, met in the backfield and thrown down for a loss. Back at the 31 by Marcus Bailey.
And Purdue's trying to get a quick timeout. Referee lets a couple seconds tick off. Again, being aggressive mentality. Watch the inside.
30 seconds on
Good job of getting penetration up front by this defensive line. And that's what it's been. And number 21, Bailey, their leading tackler on this football team, has found open holes in this offensive line to make the tackle.
And Anthony, you're not going to outrun Saquon Barkley to the perimeter, right? So the next best chance is you got to get that penetration. That is the total neutralizer to that speed there by Barkley.
A loss of 6 on that play, so now Purdue with a chance to get it back, and the big play potential of Blau to Yancey.
And now one sophomore quarterback ran the 2-minute drill. Now let's see if David Blau in this down the field, push it offense can get some big plays and maybe set themselves up with Bilal Marshall catching this punt, trying to get him in good position. Confusion here on what they're trying to do.
There's a whistle and a flag, and it looks like a false start coming.
False start. Offense, number 11. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Actually, kind of fortunate. Purdue was running around, not quite in the right spot. I think that movement actually made one of their guys flinch. And James Franklin, what a heck of a job. You know, a lot of people talk about ups and downs that he's had. Let's remember, he's walked into a program that had some issues. He's been able to build it through recruiting. Heck of a coaching job last week against Ohio State. Now he's got to continue that trend with the young team that he has on the field.
Bilal Marshall telling his guys to stay away from it, and it takes a Purdue hop back towards midfield. Just a 31-yard punt, so short field for David Blau, who will note on the season he has 10 touchdown passes of over 25 yards, 4 of those to number 7, Yancey.
This is a huge opportunity, and this is where the young quarterback feels like he can thrive. Again, this is where the film study, the guy that stays in early, comes in early, stays late. This is where you got to find the holes and be prepared as a young quarterback with this system. Don't need a lot of yards to get down, but they want to be aggressive and try to push the ball. Work the middle of the field here with if you get a chance.
Doesn't have a 2-minute drill. He's only got a minute to work with. There is a pass in the middle of the field, incomplete, a little bit behind Greg Phillips. 2nd down.
And that's been some of the inconsistencies, the accuracy. You know, he puts together some strings where he misses some of the receivers when they're open. But again, size plays an issue, protection plays an issue. A lot of different things come into play. But again, there's some holes here. He was open. He's got to find them and complete that pass.
4 men coming for Penn State. Blau on the move, makes the pass. Down the sideline goes Markel Jones, still breaking tackles, breaks another one at the 15, and they're going to rule him out of bounds. Back outside the 20. Terrific effort, though, by Markel Jones. 31 yards. And the clock at 42 seconds.
The runner stepped out of bounds at the 22-yard line. First down.
This is a close one. It looks like they caught his left foot there. You see a little white grass poke up, but watch closely the left foot. Left foot down. That one looks in. This step here looks like, it steps out of bounds, and very unorthodox earlier on in that play that Bell, number 11, Brandon Bell, missed the tackle in the open field to really spring that run.
Blau is signaling to the officials.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
And I'm not quite sure that they set that clock for him. You saw him pumping his arm, and that's that transition. You know, you stepped out of bounds, a lot of things going on. Player ran to the end zone. You got to get back. That clock is ticking. Be aware of that.
He thought it should have been reset. The official said, no, it's on time. 5-yard penalty. Flag down. The pass is caught at the 29-yard line by Yancey out of the backfield. Torrance Brown may be the guilty party if it's on Penn State here.
Offside. Defense, number 19. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Penn State usually plays pretty clean, but that is already their 7th penalty now of the first half.
And these are some big things for an interim head coach. A receiver coach only had to worry about his guys. Now he's got to worry about the offense, the defense, the special teams, when to call the timeouts. Those are all keys in important parts of the game.
He's done a lot of different things in a very short period of time to try and get the guys to buy in, to try and get them re-energized, They get their game plan installed a week earlier. They've been practicing at night to bring a little energy under the lights with the anticipation of colder games coming as well in November.
Yeah, they take Sundays off now. It used to be a work day for them. They give the kids off, let the coaches prep on Sunday, get them a little forward thinking. They took away the shirt and tie on the away games. Now they wear those jumper suits, which are cool. And, listen, and let's not discredit anything Coach Hazel. I know Coach Hazel very well. He did a fantastic job. He's a leader of men. But in this business, Beth, you got to win football games. And he's not going to be the only coach that could potentially be fired because of it. And in this business, regardless of what school you're coaching at, it's about W's. And Purdue obviously wants to turn the corner and find a new option.
They're showing the Wildcat here with Bilal Marshall. Blau, the quarterback, is the wide receiver to the left. And the pitch back to Blau. Incomplete. They wanted to throw it to Markel Jones down the left sideline. And terrific coverage on the backside from Penn State and John Reed.
Well, watch Posey on the inside. He's going to run down wide open when Marshall throws this ball back to David Blau. He doesn't see him. Look at this wide open space. Now, he's not the normal target, but he doesn't get his head around. Man, that would have been a huge play. And Posey's like, I was wide open in the back. Well designed, just eyes weren't in the right place for the quarterback when he tried to throw back.
With 30 seconds to go in the half, 2nd and 10. Wow, looking to the end zone. Incomplete. Off the hands of Yancey with Reed running with him step for step. 3rd down.
Yeah, Reed has tight coverage. He is a very good corner. Yancey, a bigger guy. You see right there, when Yancey's hands go up, that's when Reed's hands go up. Tries to have a distraction there, trying to get his head around. Actually, Yancey had a hold of his face mask there a little bit, trying to distract him. But those are two good players. That's a heck of a matchup on the outside with Yancey and Reed.
They're matched up again to the top of your screen. Blau looking the other way, and short-armed it, intended for Marshall, and now you've got 4th down. And they're going to bring the field goal unit on with 22 seconds to go.
Well, we've seen multiple plays already. We've seen the 4th downs. We've seen the trick plays. Give credit to Penn State on that last play. They talked about being disciplined when those trick plays came up. They covered Marshall on the outside. They did leave a middle receiver open, but that wasn't the main route, and Blau wasn't able to hit it. So it is a good stop. But I'll tell you what, Purdue doing a nice job getting themselves in position in this game to score.
39-yard attempt from J.D. Dellinger for the lead. And it is no good. Still tied at 17 with 17 seconds to go in the 2nd quarter.
That whipped hard. You remember the last field goal really whipped back into the middle. Did really the same thing, but he kicked it too far left, and that's a missed opportunity. That's unfortunate. Purdue pretty clean throughout this game in the first half, Beth, methodically moving the ball down the field. Really, Penn State haven't done much to stop them as far as what they've done, and you've seen a lot of different things as far as what they're doing on offense. Runs, screen passes, deep balls, checking the middle, and Penn State's going to take a knee here and take it in at halftime, try to regroup and get something sparked for this football team. Played a little more pizzazz and excitement. I don't see it right now. A little low coming off Ohio State.
Yep, that big win, the whiteout win Saturday night against the Buckeyes, their biggest win against a ranked foe in nearly 3 decades. But a different story here against Purdue through the first half, all even at 17 apiece. 210 total yards for the Boilermakers, 196 for Penn State. And all even here in West Lafayette, 17 all.
You couldn't have asked for a better half. I mean, if you're Coach Parker going in at halftime, you got to be excited. And we finally get Coach Franklin here with Rocky.
Rocky?
Coach, you marched down the field with first series score, but then since then you've been neutralized. What's been the biggest issue?
Yeah, they've done a good job. They're mixing. They got a lot of guys in the box. We got to take shots down the field. We had way too many penalties in the first quarter, more penalties than we average in a game. We're averaging about 4 a game, so we got to stop giving them yards.
Offensively, they're scrambling around, making some plays. What does your defense have to do better?
Well, they're doing a great job quick game. They're not letting us sack them by getting out with quick game, underneath control passing game. We got to get our hands up. We just got to be a little tighter with our coverage.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky. We'll get you back to the studio after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Yeah, home of the New Year's Six and the college football playoff.
You're watching the Big Ten on ABC, and it's a big Saturday in the Big Ten. Some huge matchups around the Big Ten Conference, and for Penn State off that big win last week against Ohio State, how would they react today? Well, right now, through the first half, Purdue's got them tied up at 17 apiece. Beth Mowens, along with Anthony Becht, Coach Franklin told his team all week long, bring your own juice. Going to need to provide the energy against Purdue. Plenty in that opening drive they scored on. The juice got a little low after that.
They've been flat to start this game. You look what Purdue did on offense. They came out and scored on consecutive drives, something they haven't done really in a long time this season. They got to continue to find ways to keep their juice too. Purdue's in this football game. Penn State's got to generate something. They're going to kick the ball up. They need a stand on defense. Coach Franklin talked about the pressure's been nullified by the quick passing game. They got to find other ways to get some big plays on defense.
The kickoff goes out of bounds.
Kick out of bounds. Kicking team, number 99. Ball will be placed on the 35-yard line. First down and 10.
Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary.
David Blau has been chopping up the defense early on. He's been on point. 9 different receivers he's throwing the ball, going through his progressions. They've mixed it up, quick screens, work in the middle of the field, dumping the ball down. He's done a nice job. And on the other end, it's been the Saquon Barkley show. Now, he hasn't been rushing the ball effectively, but in the pass game, he has caught some short routes and turned them into some big-time plays. And when they need him close to the goal line, he's just got no shot to stop him in this game.
They've been spreading it around to those different receivers and several different guys in the run game as well down to the field. Rocky?
Yeah, Coach Franklin mentioned the fact that Purdue's quick game is really giving this defense trouble. Watch for this, though, as Penn State's defense starts to close down, starts to tighten that thing up. It's going to be up to David Blau to find that pass deeper down the field as they come up on the short stuff.
Four-man rush. Blau will step up. He'll flip it to Markel Jones, and the tackle is made by Brandon Bell. There is no Jason Kabinda, by the way, at middle linebacker to start out this second half. He's over on the sideline. Brandon Smith in the game right now.
Yeah, and, Brandon Smith's had to fill in over the last couple of games with some injury. Done a nice job. Has taken him some time, but he's a bit of a drop-off when you don't have Kabinda in the game.
Kabinda just returning from that injury last week after he missed 5 games. Brandon Bell trying to leap over the running back, and the pass is picked off by guess who? Brandon Smith breaking a tackle down inside the 25, his second pick of the season. Kabinda's replacement gets the takeaway.
Well, listen, remember, don't listen to what I'm saying up here about a little bit of a drop-off. They're going to bring these 2 guys. They're going to bring Bell, and he's going to drop off in coverage. Watch this. They sell it. Then it comes off and fades out. That's how you get in that quick passing lane. You make the quarterback think you're going to bring a blitz, and then you drop off. This is well-designed. This is a great change-up by the defensive coordinator and Coach Brent Bry of nullifying the quick passing game, and it's worked out early.
You just meant drop back, not drop off, right?
Exactly.
So the turnover, which has been an issue for Purdue, throughout the season. They'll run it with Barkley right up the middle and a gain of 9. And Cabinda, true to form, an outstanding teammate. And look at him all over Smith after the takeaway by his replacement in the middle.
Yeah, you gotta love that. Teammates coming together, making a big play, and being prepared to come in a game and know your assignment with that changeup at halftime.
Barkley again, the burst inside the 10. You know, one of the things that James Franklin talked about with the injuries at linebacker throughout the first half of the season, he said, we got a lot of guys that got some playing time, and now all of a sudden, when Cabinda and Bell come back, we've got depth that we didn't have to start the year.
They have depth there. They have depth at the defensive line position. Again, this is a very young team that's going to bring a lot of starters back next season.
Barkley in the slot and now in motion. On 1st and goal. Saquon again, and why not? Lunges for the goal line. They're going to spot him a yard shy. Marcus Bailey with the tackle.
And you see, once Barkley gets through the initial line of scrimmage, it's his show. It's hard to bring down. It's a nice form tackle wrapping up, but you see him pull defenders with him forward. He's so powerful, but yet so fast.
McSorley looking to the end zone. He's got it by the pylon. Touchdown, Chris Godwin. That's his second of the day.
Godwin is a really good receiver, man. I'll tell you, watch some of the things he does, especially right there. Bottom of the screen, number 12. He's going to come off, sell the fade, stick his foot around, and come back to the pylon. It's a pylon throw. Quarterback, receiver on the same page. You got no chance on the outside if you're a cornerback in one-on-one coverage.
Second time McSorley and Godwin have hooked up. Chris now 4 catches, 56 yards. And the PAT is good. So just like they started out the game, they'll start out the second half with a score.
Starts with the interception, but they got down the field quickly. Big throw, big catch. Godwin starting his half off right for Penn State.
Big Ten headlines today. Michigan leading Michigan State. Sparty could lose for a 6th straight time. The Buckeyes coming off a loss, and Maryland can get to a bowl game with first-year head coach DJ Dilger if they win today against Indiana.
Michigan's dominating right now, and listen, that's hard to do. Get to a bowl game your first year, be a huge boost, especially the money they're putting into that program in Maryland.
Let's get an update right now on the struggling Louisville Cardinals, Cassidy.
Louisville. Well, what they're doing is they're shutting down the run of Lamar Jackson. He only has 37 yards rushing, Beth. That's not a Lamar Jackson-esque type of performance so far through 3 quarters of football.
Here, Penn State scoring off of a turnover to take the lead early in the second half. David Blau finds his tight end, Cole Herdman, on a big Saturday in the Big Ten. Some huge tilts around the league, Rocky.
It looks like Jason Cabinda back in the game there, number 40 for Penn State. Anthony, you gotta love the old school neck roll on Cabinda. Look at that thing. That's like 1980 stuff.
Yeah, it looks like Jack Ham back there. Back in you talk about old school. That looks like linebacker U. And there's been some really good linebackers come through this football team. And this kid right here, number 40, is a junior. And he's got a heck of a career going on early on.
3rd down and 4. This is massive for Penn State. You don't want to lose all the momentum that you could have gained from a win against Ohio State. You want to try and get back to the glory days after what has been an awfully tough stretch for the Penn State family over the course of the last 5 or 6 years as Blau has run out of bounds. And unfortunately for the Nittany Lions, they might get flagged here for the late hit.
Yeah, they're going to get pegged on this one, Beth. Not a good decision. Right now, by number 93, White. He'll extend his arms here late.
After the play was over,
when his foot hit the white.
Foul. Defense number 93 laid it out of bounds. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
So that'll keep pushing the Boilermakers forward out close to midfield, out to their 46. But for Penn State, so much goodwill within the program, around the program after that big win. And now the expectations have changed completely.
Well, you know, and big picture, but when you talk about Big Ten, I mean, a lot of people want to talk about Ohio State, talk about Michigan, that matchup moving forward, what Michigan's done. But Nebraska has really been the quiet kind of team right now that's winning games week to week. And Coach Riley's done a fantastic job. Last year, a lot of people were questioning that move with him going to Nebraska. Right now, it's starting to pay off in a big way.
And Anthony, how about Michigan this year? Jabril Peppers, he has played 13 positions, offense, defense, and special teams. I think the only one he hasn't played is tight end. Come on, Anthony, you got to lobby for my man over there.
Well, he's a good athlete, but he's not that good to play the tight end.
Perfectly played. Nice job, my friend.
But when you compare him to a guy like Charles Woodson, let's remember, he just played offense, defense, and did some special teams in the return game. Yeah. That is a lot of things to do for a player. That shows remarkable, really, ability to do multiple things for that football team.
We understand that Jabril Peppers has scored a touchdown rushing the football today. So leave it to Rocky, the defensive guy, to push the defender for the Heisman Trophy, but he's doing it on the offensive side as well. 3rd and 6 here for Purdue. DBs here for Penn State. Blau's going to run for it. He is hauled down about a yard shy, and there's a penalty flag as well in the middle of the field. Marcus Allen wrapped him up.
Yeah, they're going to get Roos, the right guard here, the captain.
Holding. Offense, number 70. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Basically had a takedown on the defensive lineman, and he's going to argue it. He thinks he pancake blocked him, but that's a big play. You know, these are the things that are tough for Purdue to overcome, Beth.
Yeah.
3rd and longs. There's not a lot of plays that Terry Malone, the offensive coordinator, can draw up. Coach Parker, not a lot of trick plays he can put in the circumstance. It gives a huge advantage to this Penn State defense.
And where they gave them the spot, it would have been a 1st down. Instead, their 3rd holding penalty of the day has them all the way back at their own 39-yard line. Blau to Kimbrough, who's coming back to the middle of the field, and they'll take care of him around the 44-yard line, and it's 4th down. Koa Farmer with the tackle.
Again, you're just limited there, Beth, on what you can do, and that's unfortunate. And now you see the momentum now starting to swing towards the Nittany Lions, make a big stop. They score on the first drive. They got that turnover, and now you're starting to see this game kind of amp up for Penn State.
Turnover ended their first possession. A penalty may have done in their second possession as they get set to punt it away. Joe Shopper. And it will bound into the end zone for the touchback. Penn State with the lead and the ball when we come back.
College football presented by Kay Jewelers. Brought to you by the all-new Honda Ridgeline for truck-tough things and everyday things. Taco Bell's rolled chicken tacos. And Aflac. In just one day, we process, approve, and pay. One-day pay only from Aflac.
60 years old and still going strong. The 60th anniversary of Purdue Pete. For the Boilermakers, still out there shaking his thing. And a 24-17 Penn State lead. They got the turnover and scored off it to start out this 3rd quarter. And now back to work for Trace McSorley. In his first year as the starter, replacing Christian Hackenberg this year, who's off to the NFL. And they'll run it with Saquon Barkley, and look at him lower his shoulder and power right through Dawan Hunt. 1st down.
You see a lot of movement with him. They start on the outside. They bring him back into the backfield. But there's the power right there. Listen, if you're going to attack him, try to bring him down, you better get low because he's got tremendous power and force with those large tree trunk thighs that he has, Beth.
Coach has called him a 5-tool football player, a nice baseball reference during the World Series, but he's got all the gifts. McSorley looking deep. just out of the reach of Mike Gesicki. Bailey had the coverage.
And Coach Franklin talked about their load in the box, so they got to take some chances and throw them down the field. And Gesicki's been gimpy the entire game, got hurt last week against Ohio State. I don't see the separation. I don't know if I pick him to be the guy going downfield. And he tries to reach out, but he just can't quite get that left hand around. And you see the defender falls on the back of his leg. He's in a lot of pain. Might want to run a different receiver on that route next time.
Tom Pancoast is now in at tight end, and this is Miles Sanders, the true freshman, in motion. They'll fake it to him. Looking out to the edge. Blacknall, good coverage, and it's broken up by the new guy out there, Mike Little.
That's much better coverage. That's being aggressive, man-to-man, and then you're able to come back and swat it down. So, again, making some adjustments, giving some other players a chance to make some plays, Ben.
On for Josh Hayes, the true freshman cornerback that Penn State had been picking on earlier, and now it's 3rd and 10. Blitz coming. McSorley gets the pass away. Incomplete, looking for Hamilton. And it's 4th down. Big stop there for Purdue when Penn State had grabbed the momentum.
And you see the inaccuracies of McSorley as a passer. A lot of his plays are downfield. The receivers have to go up and get the ball. It's a long throw. Again, he's growing in the passing game. I think that's the number one thing with his size. He's a bit limited as far as seeing over coverages. You see a lot of throws on the outside. But again, very dangerous with his legs. Haven't seen him run the ball as much in this football game.
Punt is muffed, and Penn State is all over it. Bilal Marshall could not hang on, and another turnover for the Nittany Lions.
Beth, we talked to Coach Franklin yesterday in the meetings. He talked about special teams. They spend a lot of time on it. There's got to be guys around the kick returner. When he drops the football, you see 4 defenders in place. Huge special teams component last week, and they add on another one this game.
And Franklin told us yesterday, look, we're not just giving lip service to special teams. Anthony, you've heard it before. Coaches say, oh, we care about special teams, and they'll give it 5 minutes of a period here, 10 minutes of a meeting period. This team really, really believes it's 1/3 of the game.
Barkley, big hole, and a big burst for Saquon down to the 3. 1st and goal, Penn State. Another chunk play for Saquon.
Yeah, the read option, they ride it. Number 18, Wilson, the D tackle, is in the backfield. He has no idea who has the football because of the fact they ride it so well. And these are some huge creases right now, Beth, that Barkley is getting here in the 3rd quarter.
One turnover has already cost Purdue. Penn State trying to cash in on another. They're going to run it again right up the middle with Andre Robinson. Touchdown, Penn State.
In the momentum now, Penn State starting to control this football game at the line of scrimmage. This offensive line taking advantage of it. And, of course, the punt return drop, the fumble, the muff. Really a turning point right now for this offense.
They came in -8 in turnovers, one of the worst in the country. And they've added 2 more giveaways today. Penn State, 14 points off of turnovers. And that's the difference right now.
Got to look it in, got to see that punt. Johnny on the spot, Penn State all around it. Barkley in space. Folks, don't give them that much room. And when it's another chance for another back to come in, Robinson takes advantage of it and gets himself a touchdown.
Later today on ESPN, the big Saturday in the Big Ten rolls on. First, it's Northwestern and Ohio State at 3:30 Eastern, followed by Nebraska and Wisconsin from Camp Randall, as the undefeated Huskers will try and stay that way in a tough road environment. Both those games coming up on ESPN. A couple of turnovers in the third quarter for Purdue, and Penn State scores on both of them. No longer tied. It's now a 14-point lead for the Nittany Lions. David Blau and the offensive unit are about to go out there. He is David Blau, but he's also part David Copperfield. David Blaine, the Magic Man, as we take you on a backstage pass.
Ask you to think of any card. Okay, go ahead and say that out loud for us.
5 of diamond.
The 5 of diamond. So before we started, I went throughout this deck, and I flipped over one card, face down in the deck, right? And normally, if we do this right, we can get one card to come out.
There's no way this is... what am I doing with it?
Go ahead and show the camera.
No way. Hey, forget this football thing, man. This is the racket you need to be doing right here.
I'll tell you what, I mean, that was impressive. He did 3 tricks for us. He made it special. He's a great personality, high character kid. Everything about him, I can't say enough about what he's done. I'd say this, that the greatest magic trick he could probably pull off is making some of these Penn State defenders disappear, but we had some fun with him yesterday.
Beth, you may have dated yourself with David Copperfield. How about David Blaine out there? But
that was my other reference. You missed that one.
Matt Rector, Purdue's SID, told me before the game, he said Blau was so nervous before doing that bid. He actually practiced yesterday, maybe more nervous than about coming into this game.
A proud Gen Xer, by the way. Grayson Hopkins, the tight end, with the catch from Blau. He's an interesting case, though, when you talk about what it's going to take for Purdue to win here and compete here. Of course, they have made a change at the top. Darrell Hazel was fired on October 16th. Jared Parker is their interim, so this is one of, 3 jobs, I think, FBS, that we already know will be open for next year, and their AD, Mike Babinski, has got some choices to make.
Yeah, they'll have some options. I mean, a lot of places and ways they can lean for that. But I think one thing you can say is whoever comes in, they're going to have a pretty crafty quarterback that's going to be able to dish the ball out and really work in any kind of offense you decide to set.
They're going to come up short on this third down attempt. Blau embodies a couple of things. He's a quarterback. You got to have a quarterback here, and he's a guy from down south. He's a Texas guy. You got to recruit down there.
And you talk about what kind of coach that might be ready and willing to take this job. And, we put some things together to kind of go with it. And, number one, I think you got to get recruiting outside of Indiana. They got some players that can make plays from Indiana, but they got to go to Florida and Texas, try to draw those guys, get some energy. Parker's got that juice. Everybody's bouncing around. They need a young, energetic guy, and the last thing, offensive-minded. The Joe Tiller days, throwing the ball around. They've got to get linemen in the building that can protect so a quarterback can go out there and make those plays.
John Reed with the fair catch. We put together a list of what we've seen and heard around town. Some guys potentially, Rocky, I know you're a PJ Fleck fan for this position.
Well, yeah, if you mentioned the 3 things that this program needs: youth, energy, can recruit, and also an offensive-minded coach. I think PJ Fleck, he's done absolute miracles at Western Michigan from recruiting. He always does those hype videos and all those things that kids love. I think a guy like that could come into this Purdue program and find a way to get those players here, because that's what this program is really missing right now.
And Rocky, he's talking about recruiting. PJ Fleck, number 42 last season, which was huge for a MAC school, and he's got 2 Big Ten wins against Northwestern and Illinois this year, and last year took Michigan State 37-24.
Blacknall hauls it in. The deep ball from McSorley down inside the 35. They continue to work that left cornerback. This time it's Mike Little.
Yeah, nice separation. They're rolling some quarterbacks in, and you get that space and separation. Good concentration right there. Number 13, Blacknall on the catch.
42 yards on that strike. Check it. First catch for Blacknall. Back to Saquon Barkley. Look at him get to the outside. Stays on his feet. Steps out around the 15. Brennan Mann with a nice block. Number 70 at right tackle.
A lot of defenders are constantly chasing Barkley from behind. He's got that breakout speed. dangerous on the perimeter like you see there, but between the tackles, he really does explode through the hole as a running back.
17 yards on that carry to go over 100 for the day for Barkley. Receiver screen there for Chris Godwin. Wrapped up by Juwan Bentley. A couple of possessions, a couple of scores for Penn State here in the third quarter, and they are driving again. Looking for a knockout punch.
Again, the coaches here, they surveyed the defense here, try to put Penn State in the perfect play on offense.
Looking deep into the end zone, overthrows Deshaun Hamilton.
If they're going to run man-to-man on defense, you're going to get the trips receivers on the three-man side. The inside receiver is going to try to beat you to the corner. They tried it earlier, didn't put enough air, and then he put some zip on that ball, still overthrows them. Again, a growth in progress at the quarterback position. Really, both of these guys, really the Big Ten moving forward. These two players, McSorley and Blau, have a bright future ahead of them.
3rd and 8. They can get the first down inside the 3. McSorley wants the 7 for Hamilton, lunging for it, couldn't reach it, and it's 4th down.
And the Hamilton's gassed right now. That was a lot of running for them, and they try to hit that fade route. And again, just off, again, the touch. Really haven't seen the flow of the pass game to get McSorley confident. Not a lot of short passes early on like Blau had. And they're trying to hit some of these balls that have to be perfectly placed. Not able to get them in there tight.
McSorley 50% accuracy for 207 yards today. So it's now Tyler Davis. Good from 33 yards earlier. This a 29-yard attempt to extend the lead. And it is good. The Nittany Lions doubling up Purdue here with an outburst in the third quarter. 17 unanswered points. So how about Saquon Barkley today, who's now rushed for over 100 and his receiving yards up to 70.
He's special. He can do it all. You said 5'2", catch the ball, run the ball, make people miss. I'm telling you what, this kid's not going to be around school a long time, Deb. You might get him for one more year next year, but I'll tell you, he's a tremendous asset to this offense. He can take over football games. Explosion, speed, power, running guys over, lowering the shoulder and unloading. And you see, as the game wears on, you didn't think he was going to have a lot of rushing yards. All of a sudden, bam, he's over 100. He's received the ball well. 3 catches, 70 yards. He's been the kind of go-to guy for Penn State.
The thing about Barkley, too, is he does not shy away from contact. And I can tell you as a linebacker, you watch that early in the week and you say, oh, this running back's going to hit back if we come up in that hole. Certainly for a speed guy like him to also have that power and want to run guys over, he's a real nemesis out there.
And the one thing that coaches tell me is he is a spiritual leader for the team. He's a guy that rallies the troops. It doesn't matter if they're down 2 touchdowns or up 3 touchdowns. He's always constantly motivating his teammates. They love him here for what he does on and off the field.
He's been a difference maker so far today for Penn State. Well, moving on to Monday Night Football, and our matchup on Halloween will feature a North Division rivalry. It's the Vikings and the Bears, the NFC North matchup. Sam Bradford and Jay Cutler. Monday night at 8:15 Eastern. It all starts with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 6 o'clock. Also streaming on your Watch ESPN app with Sean McDonough and your old buddy John Gruden.
This Zimmer guy, I tell you, he's out there. He's down a QB. He's working Bradford. He's doing a great job for this football team. Look for this guy as being one of the top coaches in the NFL. It's my poor man's Gruden for you. Gets all excited.
As a representative of, as Sean McDonough likes to say, the Harvard of Central New York, I really have no response for that. Penn State, we talked about them bringing the juice. Rockies report at the beginning of the game they had it early. Purdue had them tied up at the break, and the juice is back here in the third quarter. It's been all Nittany Lions, aided by a couple of turnovers that they cashed into 14 points. And now the defense is starting to swarm.
In this entire second half, the Boilermakers haven't attempted a pass over about 6 yards here. And again, Penn State realizes they made the adjustment at halftime. They're squeezing the short stuff, and until you stretch that defense vertically, this is what you're going to get. This defense for Penn State, they tackle really well on that short stuff.
And to add to that, Rocky, when you know the defense is going to try to make changes on the short game, why don't you try the deep ball? Look at this in their faces all the way across the board, man-to-man coverage. Take a chance down the field and hit them vertically.
Here comes the blitz as well. Blau looking to beat it deep for Bilal Marshall, and there's going to be a penalty flag, I believe, on Christian Campbell, who was holding up the receiver.
Prior to the pass being thrown, holding, defense.
I wonder how undefeated West Virginia is doing right penalty. Now. I think Cassidy Hubbard has an update for us.
It's not good, Beth. Offense is a little stale today. Not coming out guns a-blazing like they have been. And hey, it's hard to win them all, Beth. There's no question about it. Everybody's gunning for you when you don't have a loss.
Wildcat there to Bilal Marshall, no gain. So if that holds form, West Virginia will fall from the unbeaten ranks. That would leave Baylor as the only remaining unbeaten in the Big 12. They've got a matchup at Texas today. And, of course, the off-field issues continue to swirl around the Bears program as they try and move forward.
It's been a tough go for the Big 12 Conference in general, between that and expansion and everything else.
Blau heaving it deep downfield and catching it on the run as D'Angelo Yancey. Touchdown Boilermakers. 62 yards on the hookup. Blau to Yancey.
That's the magic, Beth, we're talking about by David Blau. And you're going to be on the outside, one-on-one, man coverage. The best thing about Yancey is separation when the ball's in the air. He's a veteran receiver, one of the best in the Big Ten, and too much for the redshirt sophomore, number 21, to handle. One-on-one.
11th touchdown pass of over 25 yards for Blau this year. The 5th to D'Angelo Yancey. And Purdue trying to get back in it with 2:32 to go. It's a 10-point game here in the third. Second game in a row with a touchdown of over 60 yards for D'Angelo Yancey.
And I'll tell you right now, Beth, if I'm Parker, Purdue's head coach, I do a surprise onside kick. You finally got some momentum back. You got the deep ball. You got Penn State a little bit on their heels. You know you need to steal a possession at some point in this game. This will be a perfect opportunity for it.
And for a team that spends more time than not on special teams, that's Penn State and James Franklin. Let's see if they're prepared for something like that to happen.
Remember, this coaching staff we've talked about, they have nothing to lose. We talked to them yesterday. They're very loose, nothing uptight about them. Hey, you know, the end of the year is going to happen regardless, so you might as well go out guns blazing. I think at some point, whether it's here or later in the game, try that surprise onside kick.
They have been kicking it short the last few kickoffs. J.D. Dellinger handles the kickoffs.
One key here, number 7, Yancey, is right in front of the group of kickoff guys. Now, he's a receiver on the outside.
He's going to the left.
That could be a heads up here. He's right there, number 7, Yancey. He's a hands guy. You would think you'd put some hands guys there if they decide to do it.
There is the onside kick, and it will hop out of bounds. And it will go to Penn State.
Great call by Rocky there, calling that. And look, Yancey, that's a heads up for a defense. You got to see that. And poor kick, though, not giving their players a chance.
Kick out of bounds. Kicking team, number 43. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So the Nittany Lions will get it 1st and 10. Purdue takes a chance and doesn't get the hop that they needed.
Well, Purdue's defense now has to be good tacklers. I think it's worth loading the box and continuing to do that. You're going to see Barkley on the outside. He's been coming back in every time, and this is a key indicator of some of that read option run game.
We may see a heavy dose of Saquon Barkley, who hurdles a defender and finds some green down inside the 20.
Well, I've been impressed by this offensive line making blocks. Number 72, the center, Gaia, does a nice job finishing Bentley, number 4 there. And look at the athleticism. We showed it prior to the game of him jumping over players. That's part of his repertoire right now. He's starting to put a lot on his resume, Beth.
He's looking for guys to jump over, Anthony. That was actually his own guy.
Just get out of my way. He'll run the other team. Yeah, he'll run the other guys over and jump over his guy.
Sanders is bottled up in the backfield.
And Purdue's defense looking for any chance to tackle somebody else except Barkley. Got the true freshman Sanders getting an opportunity, and that's a nice job getting through a penetration by Eddie Wilson, number 18. And it's been a struggle, Beth. We talked about number 54, Jake Rapogel, not being in their best defensive lineman. And again, it's kind of showing up now in this run game for Penn State.
Barkley, by the way, approaching nearly 200 yards of total offense this afternoon. McSorley looking, now will dump it off. Wide open out of the backfield is Miles Sanders. Touchdown, Penn State. Got lost in traffic.
Linebacker gets lost here, Beth, and running back gets out in the open. Nobody home. And again, we see another miscommunication on defense, and it's cost them big. 2 big touchdowns because of it.
Penn State scoring touchdowns off of turnovers twice, and now taking advantage of the onside kick that left them with the short field. The onside kick attempt, I should say. And the extra point is good, and quickly Penn State responds 41-24.
Well, listen, everybody's in man-to-man across the board. They're all going to go out. Watch the middle linebacker, freeze it right there. Bentley, he's going to have this guy in the backfield. Well, he never picks him up, gets lost in the shuffle. Watch Sanders in the backfield, just kind of sitting. And Bentley late to getting outside. Nobody's home. And those are the things that challenge a Mike linebacker. I know Rocky's played that position quite a bit in those circumstances.
Yeah, and the coaching point here, Anthony, is if you're a linebacker, if you're Bentley there, you go hug up on that running back. You go get him in that backfield instead of waiting and having a lot of space and allowing that, your eyeballs to take you other places on the field. Man-to-man, hug up on the running back, and that's something that Bentley's got to learn from, I think.
And you see Bentley shaking his head. He knows he wasn't in the position where he needed to be, and you're right. Attack the line of scrimmage, come up to him, and then when he runs that route, you're at least there to defend it. There just kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and that's a big play for Penn State, wide open for Sanders.
We continue to see the growth of the Nittany Lions over the course of the 3 years under James Franklin. They got the big win last week. They hit a bit of a lull in the first half. The maturity now to come out in the third quarter and really hammer away at Purdue.
Well, I think the best thing you see is you got some coaching going on. You go into halftime and you make some adjustments. That's what good coaching staffs do. Sean Bry does a nice job switching things up. Got the linebackers. We saw it earlier. They played a blitz, faked it, popped back out on the short pass, and they were able to get an interception by Brandon Smith at the linebacker position. So those little small things to make your team come out and kind of build yourself up and play better are some good things by the coaching staff for Penn State.
And I love talking to Coach Franklin yesterday. He talked about those chaos periods he uses in practice, those sudden change things, red zone, third down, some of those final points of the game where they're not very good at, where just in the middle of practice, he won't tell the coaches, he won't tell the players what they're doing, but boom, chaos period. We got to go to it so these players react to those situations where they're not playing at very well at, like red zone. So they've been pretty good in the red zone.
And you may forget, too, guys, now that we're midway through this season, what they had to replace this year. Their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator, their all-time passing leader at quarterback, a defensive line where 3 guys went to the NFL. They had a lot of changes in the offseason, and you bring in Brent Pry, you actually bump him up from linebacker coach, and you bring in Joe Moorhead as your coordinators. And when you got a guy like Barkley leading the way, they've been able to really pick things up.
And continue to win games when your top 3 linebackers were out starting from Pittsburgh on. You had a rotation of different players. Listen, there's some bright things going on. You got 18, 19 starters back next year. They got a great opportunity this year to potentially get the 10 wins. And I'll tell you another thing that stands out of what Coach Franklin did was he held out Garrett Sickles last week in the first half in the biggest game of the year. A lot of coaches wouldn't do that.
Disciplinary.
They would wait because he missed the class, maybe the next game not to play him. They disciplined him against Ohio State. That just shows a little bit about what his makeup is and what he believes in, what's first in priority for these kids.
And Anthony, you know as well as I do what that speaks to your players here. Players can see right through that if you hold a guy out versus a very weak team and you don't versus Ohio State. So I think he certainly sets the message there for his team.
First down.
He's a Pennsylvania guy, Longhorn, PA native. He was a Hall of Fame quarterback at East Stroudsburg in eastern PA. Knows the significance of this job and this program, and in the post-Paterno era, the ups and downs, the difficult days. They're finally back this year to 85 guys on scholarship, and just so excited for their older guys. Some of those fifth-year seniors last Saturday night celebrating post-game. Those were guys that Paterno and his staff had recruited 5 years ago and had been through some dark days. And to celebrate that whiteout and now trying to carry that through the rest of this season. And again, they're still not out of the Big Ten East chase. They need Michigan to lose a couple of times.
Yeah, well, you know, they beat a top-tier team last week, and they can continue to build off that. Again, you got to be enthused if you're a Penn State Nittany Lion fan about this year and the future, Beth. A lot of depth at D-line, at linebackers, a lot of guys getting reps. Your skill position is 100% back next year. I mean, man, you know, the fact that they're excelling this season, I mean, just think about what this future lines up. Could be exciting times in Happy Valley.
Now the receiver screen for Anthony Mahungu, the junior from Paris, France. And it's going to bring up third down.
It's been tough for Blau today. He started off this game with a bang. They did a lot of good stuff. Terry Malone, offensive coordinator, outside screen throws, quick passing game, worked the middle of the field, got the run game mixed in. It's just too much to overcome when you're playing a Penn State team that have big playmakers on offense, and of course the defense starts catching on to what you're doing.
End of the third quarter on this Halloween weekend in West Lafayette. Woo! Even scarier than Rocky Boyman waving from the train window. Some of the costumes on display here on campus. Back after a word from our ABC stations. I know November is just around the corner, but it feels like a spectacular August afternoon. Temperatures in the 70s, the sun's out. And Penn State with the lead over Purdue in a big third quarter, 41-24. As we start the fourth, it's 3rd and 24 for Purdue in their anthracite and pewter jerseys today. And the sack for the Nittany Lions. Their first sack of the day, it's Ryan Buchholz. They got 6 of them last week against Ohio State.
Well, you know, unfortunately, what happens is when you start doing the short passing game, now you got to take some more time. That gives the defensive line an opportunity to get more of a pass rush. And now the holes in the pocket converges, and David's obviously got his eyes way downfield to try to make a big play. And that's the advantage Penn State gets when you're up 41-24, Beth.
To Greg Garrity back inside the 30, and he's got it early in the fourth. 24 points for Penn State in the third. And we've got a flag down back near the line of scrimmage.
During the kick, holding, return team, number 11, 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down and 10. Media timeout.
10th penalty on the Nittany Lions. Back in a moment. Leaves are changing here in West Lafayette, the campus of the Purdue Boilermakers. They're trailing Penn State 41-24 early in this fourth quarter on a lovely day here at Purdue. As Penn State tries to get to 6-2, 4-1 in the league. They can become bowl eligible. Saquon Barkley, nice cutback. Barkley bursting down the sideline, and he's gone. Touchdown. Saquon Barkley, 81 yards.
Well, there's one guy on the football field that has not stopped playing, and that's Saquon Barkley. And just like that, he goes over 200 yards for the football game on that 81-yard run, Beth. 207 now. And I'm telling you, when he's going full blast, you better, as a defense, continue to carry that effort or he'll make you pay.
A career best 81-yard rush for a touchdown for Barkley. His total yards on the day now up to 277.
I'm telling you what, don't slow down against Barkley. 4.38 speed. Nobody touches him. Getting it to the end zone. This kid is special.
College football presented by Kay Jewelers. For 100 years, every kiss begins with K. And in part by AT&T, mobilizing your world. And the Venture Card from Capital One. Earn unlimited double miles you can use on any airline, anytime.
That's the Golden Girl, Alexa Phillips, rehearsing yesterday with the Purdue All-American Marching Band, the biggest band in the Big Ten Conference, and there she is in action today. You know, back in the 50s, quarterback Lenny Dawson was the Golden Boy, so they named the baton twirler that got things rolling at halftime the Golden Girl, and this year it's Alexa Phillips. 31 points in the last, 17 minutes here for Penn State. Up 48-24, including Saquon Barkley with a career day and a career-long touchdown run of 81 yards. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. 6 scoring drives under 2 minutes for Penn State, and Barkley 277 total.
He's a beast. I mean, he can do everything. Beth, they use the term five-tool player, baseball term, but he can run, catch, pass protect. We haven't seen him do a lot of that because he hasn't had to, but he's a great pass protector. I'm telling you what, as the year goes on here and goes into next season, all eyes will be on him as one of the top premier prospects at the next level.
Career high 207 yards rushing. That is the most for a runner in the Big Ten this year. Incomplete, looking for D'Angelo Yancey. John Reed with the coverage.
I think you really got to give a lot of credit to Joe Moorhead, Penn State's new offensive coordinator. Think about it. Their identity is still a running team, but they've added some elements of spread and some tempo. It's very similar to what Lane Kiffin did down in Alabama. Again, they still want to run the ball, but they got some of the smoke and mirrors, spread kind of stuff, so it's very similar. It is certainly working here at Penn State.
They're featuring the style of quarterback that they have, and that's McSorley. And that's kind of what the Franklin offense, coming from Vandy, what they normally do, that's what's kind of worked. And, last couple of years with Hackenberg, it was tough trying to get him to kind of buy in, do some different things, and they feel like now they have a young man that can kind of take him to the next level.
He's a sophomore. They got a couple of youngsters backing him up, and in next year's recruiting class, they've got the number 3 rated pocket passer in Sean Clifford out of St. X High School in Cincinnati, who's got a famous alum with us today, Rocky Boyman, a grad.
Yeah, Sean Clifford, like you said, Beth, went to my alma mater, the St. Xavier Bombers there in Cincinnati. Now, Clifford, really good quarterback, but it's interesting, Beth, because he's a pocket-style quarterback.
Yeah. Now
they're running a spread, kind of run-around, dual-threat quarterback offense here, so it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in there.
Well, they're good to go for at least 2 more years. That's all they're worried about. You know, they got a young man that I think is he's got some talent, and he's got some special qualities that he can bring to this offense.
Richie Worship on the carry. Charles Brown with the tackle.
And I just think at this level, the college level, if you can have a quarterback that can run around, it's such a weapon. Obviously, it evens out the numbers. And with what McSorley's coming in and done here, and just changed the whole dynamic of this thing. It's really cool to watch.
Well, they loved the fact that he was a winner, that he was a competitor, Trace McSorley. He played in 4 state championships in high school, won 3 of them.
Yeah, go figure. He lost his senior year on the final drive of the season in the championship game. Freshman, sophomore, junior year champion. And you said it. Coach Franklin didn't have enough good things to say about him. You said it already about being a winner. The leader, his legs, the mind, he soaks it all in, and he really kind of inspires the guys. And I'd say, look, moving forward, he's got to work on the pass game. He kind of speeds things up when there's pressure. He's got to understand how to go through progressions in the pocket and read defenses. But the one quality that the legs, that he has the legs. And that's the thing that's the game-changing element that we didn't see a bunch of it today, but when you mix that with Barkley, pulling that out, and he starts taking off, and, those running lanes, those rush lanes, they start rushing him up the field, and he starts taking off. He saw a couple against Ohio State. Those are the times where he's going to be a deadly quarterback.
Yeah, the big thing, though, Anthony, and you mentioned, is the accuracy. That's got to come up right now, 55.5% on the year. In today's spread concept and that style of offense, you've got to be around 60-62%. So that's something for him to work on here as they move forward.
Challenge next week, most immediately, Anthony, will be Desmond King, because they've got the Thorpe Award winner and the Iowa Hawkeyes at home next Saturday night. And that may be the biggest hurdle remaining in the regular season. Those of us on the outside looking in that love to talk about it, while the coaches want to keep you in the moment, look at the win percentage the rest of the way for Penn State.
Yeah, Iowa game is going to be the toughest one for sure. It is at home. That crowd will be energized for that football game. And then you finish up with Michigan State. Now, Michigan State has it down here, but that 82% is an interesting number. Kind of speaks about where they are right now this season. It's been a tough go for Coach D'Antonio and his Michigan State Spartans.
Yeah, they lose today to Michigan. That's 6 in a row. A flag is down as Purdue picks up the first down.
And that's the thing. It's like they're having an identity crisis at Michigan State. Their run defense is getting pushed around. Their secondary struggling. They got 3 quarterbacks they've been rotating through there. So certainly a lot of questions at Michigan State.
An eligible player downfield. Offense, number 53, 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
They're in the 4th quarter, by the way. Michigan leading Michigan State 30-10 after the Spartans had won 7 of the last matchups. Jabril Peppers, by the way, did have a 3-yard rushing touchdown in the first half today. Is that enough to get a defender and a 3-tool guy, 3-phase guy into the Heisman discussion? Here's what it looked like for the Big Ten in preseason, at least for the AP voters. Thought Michigan State would be right in the mix, but what's happened through the first 9 weeks, Michigan State is out, Penn State is on the way up, Nebraska is still undefeated going into their showdown tonight against Wisconsin.
And Beth, we were talking about Jabril Peppers at Michigan. What a luxury it is to have a guy that's such a hybrid player like he is. You don't have to rotate different personnel. I mean, think back to Bob Sanders in the NFL. Think back to Ed Reed, those guys that could cover tight ends and cover running backs, but still, be able to tackle in the run game. So Don Brown, that defensive coordinator, he doesn't have to worry about rotating those guys. He's got one of the best athletes in the country out there in Peppers.
What do you think about Nebraska-Wisconsin tonight, guys? That's at Camp Randall. Nebraska 7-0 off to their best start in 15 years.
Yeah, I like what Nebraska's doing right now. Armstrong has become a little bit of a better passer down the field. They made some huge plays in the second half against a struggling Purdue secondary. And, when you talk about all the linebackers that are hurt, to really hone in and play great defense, Rocky, you got to have the Beagles and the Sitchis on the field, because if you don't, that defense isn't going to fly, and I think they're going to get some of that perimeter stuff with Armstrong on the outside. Could be a deciding factor.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, Nebraska last week versus Purdue doesn't run the ball well, gave up 264 rush yards.
And another turnover. Kevin Givens jumps on the fumble. That's the third turnover of the day, taken by Penn State. Ends a 12-play drive. Blau couldn't land on it. Givens more than happy to scoop that one up. I think the wish lists are usually reserved for the Christmas holidays, but why not for Halloween? Wishing for a big-time coach. They are looking for a replacement for Darrell Hazel. Their interim is Jared Parker. They are making a commitment here at Purdue. Tommy Stevens is now in at quarterback for Penn State, working off the pump fake. Deep downfield, looking for Johnson, incomplete. But right across the street here from Ross-Ade Stadium, you've got Mackey Arena, their practice facility, and then going in is a brand new facility, the Football Performance Complex, a $65 million structure they hope to open by next football season. That will be home to some locker rooms and coaches' offices and a brand new weight room. All the amenities you need now to compete in the Big Ten and beyond.
That'll be something nice for the new coach and coaching staff who does come in and ultimately get the job to come in and really have some nice facilities that help the recruiting, and that's what it's going to come down to. But how do you get kids outside of the state of Indiana per se to come to Purdue and add some pizzazz, some electric, some athleticism? They have a couple sprinkled in. Yancey's a guy, Leroy Clark, the strong safety. These guys are graduating, though. They're going to need some new players to funnel through, and they've got to find ways to get those kind of players on the football field and at this facility.
They're making the commitments. They say they're ready to pay, too, for a head coach. Miles Sanders with the carry, trying to get to the first down marker. Going to be just a bit shy. Of course, one of the selling points always will be the opportunity to play in the Big Ten. You come here, you're going to have games against an Ohio State and a Michigan and a Penn State. You're going to be able to play at night soon. They're also adding lights here at Ross-Ade Stadium, a new addition in years to come. Tommy Stevens is the redshirt freshman from Indianapolis, so a nice moment for him back in his home state to get out there at quarterback in his third appearance. And he's gotten the first down. Well, tonight, after a full day of college football, don't miss SportsCenter at night on ESPN with Bucci and Briscoe. They'll have updates for you from college football and, of course, Game 4 of the World Series from Wrigley Field tonight at SportsCenter at night, coming your way after Nebraska-Wisconsin on ESPN. Minnesota Golden Gophers, by the way, are rolling this afternoon over Illinois, so that's another Big Ten team that would become bowl eligible with a 6th win of the season. Stevens up top, coming back to make the catch. It's number 11, Irvin Charles, inside the 5, and it's 1st and goal.
Well, with 7 minutes left, up 48-24. Penn State's still working on their offense. You got some young players in the game. Stevens again throws the ball up. This is kind of Penn State football here. Receiver come back, go up, and make a 50-50 catch. And these kids have become masters of this. You go deep down the roster now, and Irvin Charles gets his chance, pulling a big one down inside the 5-yard line.
Stevens will keep leaning for the goal line. They've already had an 80-yard touchdown run from Saquon Barkley that actually went 81 yards, the longest at Penn State since the days of Larry Johnson back in the early 2000s. And now they're trying to get over 50 points for the first time in a game in 7 years. Eastern Illinois back in 2009. Second and goal. They get the edge and they get the touchdown. Mark Allen is the fourth different running back to score today.
Yeah, and you see a beat-up Purdue defense right now. You know, a little bit of the effort. You don't see the guys kind of rallying to the ball. It's tough. You know, they've gone through a lot this program with the coaching change in season. Coach Hazel. Great man, great coach, tried to do some things here, turn this program around, wasn't able to do it, get an interim coach to come in. And they came out fighting and swinging early on in this football game, Beth. Halftime was tied, but Penn State too strong right now.
55-24, the Nittany Lions, a fourth different back, gets them over 50 for the day. To 24, Penn State with the lead over Purdue as they look to get to 6-2 on the season, 4-1 in the Big Ten East. Been a big outburst here in the second half after we were tied at 17 at the break. All Nittany Lions since. Career high, Saquon Barkley, 18 carries, 207 yards, including an 81-yard touchdown run. The longest at Penn State in, 11 years. They've also come up with 3 second-half takeaways. Purdue will have to start out inside their own 15. Well, tonight at 8 o'clock on ABC, unbeaten and third-ranked Clemson taking on Florida State. They've had a really hard time winning at Doak Campbell Stadium down in Tallahassee. They'll try again tonight, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC.
There are a lot of things that make this Clemson team good. Watch on defense. Christian Wilkinson, you got to hit the running quarterbacks, but you better have some fillers on the outside. Number 35 for Kendall Joseph gets around the tackle. The speed, honing into the ball. And how about the quarterback, Watson? Puts this ball where no one except his receiver can catch it with tight coverage. That was in overtime, the game-winning touchdown against North Carolina State. It's tough to go against these guys. Dabo Swinney thinks it might be his best team.
The winner of that matchup has won the ACC championship game in each of the last 5 years. Elijah Sindelar is the new quarterback. Oh, by the way, that tonight will be Clemson's final ranked foe of the season on the regular season slate. And a potential, if they can get through this, things look very good for them to stay undefeated.
You think about Florida State's defense this year. They've really struggled versus dual threat quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, obviously, that was a blowout. Mitch Trubisky with North Carolina and Chad Kelly with Ole Miss. So, obviously, one of the best in the business. Deshaun Watson coming in. It's going to be interesting.
Sindelar's going to run it up the middle and sliding out to the 15. We've got an update on Lamar Jackson in Louisville. Cassidy? Wow, how huge would that be for Bronco Mendenhall, first year at Virginia?
And it hasn't been a good start for him at Virginia. Some mishaps early on in the season, but man, I'll tell you what, it's definitely showing.
Fourth takeaway of the second half for Penn State. Christian Campbell gonna take it. The house call with a flag down, 30 yards on the pick six.
Yeah, so this is unfortunate. Cannot block below the waist on a change of direction.
After the interception and during the return, personal foul. Block below the waist. Return team, 15-yard penalty. Penn State's ball. First down and 10.
Not able to do that on a change of possession like this.
Exactly right. Does a nice job. Gets tipped up.
I think it was Koa Farmer got the tip, and it might be 21, Oruarie, that makes the block.
Yep.
Right
Oruarie,
there.
Yep, there it is. And that player is still down because of that chop. The 36. Yeah, that is illegal, folks. On change of possession, turnovers, you cannot cut below the waist, and that's number 36, the running back for Purdue, Worship, who got chopped down. And that's why we have that rule, Beth, because, again, the biggest thing when you see big hits and big things happen is that interception, the turnovers, guys blocking, cleaning clocks. And in the game of college, putting your head on a swivel, it's a very dangerous play for the offensive and defensive guys. And it's good to see him get up, but he's obviously taking a lot off of that left leg right now.
Redshirt freshman out of Cleveland. One thing to note, too, of importance for what Jared Parker and his staff has done, and you saw a good example of it there. These Boilermaker players, despite the coaching change, they have not given up on each other, and they have stayed together as a group through this transition period there for their teammate Worship. Penn State will still have it, though, after the interception. Miles Sanders on the carry.
Well, the changes he made, I think, had put a little bit of life. I was at practice on Thursday, Beth, and, the coaches were bouncing around. The players were having fun. They were teaching them throughout the practice. There's nobody not thinking about the next game, getting better, and they all want to make a great impression. And I think they've been prepared the last 2 games under Parker. It's just they don't have enough ammo to fight the fight in the second half. And you saw it against Nebraska last week when they couldn't hang on and continue to push. And you see it here. Penn State just kind of unleashes on them, made some adjustments, and just too much for Purdue to really stay close and hang on to.
Stevens will keep and will stay in bounds down to the 24. We talked about this Purdue team and what their November now will shape up looking like. They do have Indiana at home this year. That's always a big game regardless of the records. And they've also got to face Minnesota, Northwestern, and Wisconsin.
You never know. They put that effort out against a team like Indiana and Minnesota. All of a sudden, man, they might be pushing themselves into a potential bowl game. And how awesome would that be with their seniors? Yeah. I got a couple of fifth-year guys, and obviously this coaching staff. Coach Parker's been here since the beginning. He was the receivers coach under Hazel. Then he went to, tight ends. Then he went to receivers. And, he talked about how that change working with everybody now. He's got to worry about, after the games, what are we doing differently now this week on defense? And then what are we going to do on special teams? Before he was just, I'm just going to watch the tape here and see what my receivers can do good. Now he's got to kind of see everything. And he's getting great on-the-job experience with this. And this is going to bode him well moving forward also.
Penn State's going to go for it here on 4th and 1 as they have gone over 500 yards of total offense today. They'll add to it with a first down and possibly 6 more points. Diving into the corner of the end zone is Andre Robinson. Touchdown, Nittany Lions.
Andre Robinson, the ball carrier, touchdown.
And they've obviously found the weakness in the perimeter run game, Beth. That's another run on the outside where they're just not fast enough. They seal the edge. Do a nice job. And again, Penn State not trying to run the score up. It's just in those positions you get turnovers. You got to finish the game strong and make the tackles, be in the right spots. And a lot of players getting some opportunities, Beth, like you said, getting the ball there. Robinson getting it into the end zone.
That's his second touchdown of the day, a 19-yarder. Penn State has run for 268 yards on the ground. Big day for the Nittany Lions. here in West Lafayette. 62-24 Penn State. Huge second half for the Nittany Lions. They've outscored Purdue 45-7 since the intermission. Really took charge in the second half. A career day for Saquon Barkley. 207 yards rushing, including a career-high 81-yard touchdown streak. They're going to end another streak, by the way. They had come in here losers of 7 in a row on the road, and that will come to a close. And they'll get ready for prime time under the lights with the Iowa Hawkeyes next week. Good effort by the defense. So it's a good job shutting down Ohio State last week in the second half. Doing the same against Purdue in the second half here today, giving up just the one score.
Yeah, good team defense, honestly, today across the board. Linebackers have made nice plays. They've rotated several defensive linemen in this football game. Players getting a chance to get their opportunities on the field. And this stuff's great for building and learning what some of these players can do. And they're well coached. I think that's the best thing about it, is when they come in, these kids are ready to play.
How about an update from Cassidy Hubbarth? Oh, another Heisman moment perhaps for Lamar.
Dueling his arm, too. How about that? I mean, just flicking the ball up, 18 seconds left. Wow. That's big-time play, man.
Pressure. Playing under pressure, delivering under pressure. Those are attributes by a quarterback that you cannot find everywhere across the country. He is a kid that has it.
Be interesting to see if that will hurt them with the selection committee, not the AP voters anymore, the selection committee, because those first rankings will be coming out Tuesday night, 7 Eastern on ESPN, leading up to Selection Day on December 4th. The national semifinals at the Peach and Fiesta Bowls this year on December 31st. The national championship on January 9th. Here is a look at the Associated Press poll. The college football rankings brought to you by Goodyear. And right now, Louisville is at number 5. Washington just underway at Utah. Huge game out in the Pac-12.
Yeah, that top 5 there I have no problem with. Those teams deserve to be where they are. Again, the AP is eye candy for the country. It's eye candy for me. But other than that, doesn't really tell the tale. I would say this, talk about West Virginia. They lose today, unfortunately. Baylor's in a situation. They're the only undefeated team. Ohio State only moves to 6. We talked about that. I thought maybe they'd come back, maybe past Texas A&M. They did lose to an unranked Penn State team at the time, and we'll see how they come out this week and finish their...
Let me revisit this just for a second, the top 5 with Alabama. Are they trying to tell us something right here? Is this a message to the rest of the country? Bye, as in see you later?
You know what? You might be right. The way they've played, has anybody played better? We talked about Penn State needing some special teams play, but Alabama, kickoff return, punt return, defense, offense, everything they do is just so much better and the next level up of the rest of the country.
And Anthony, what's the count now? 12 non-offensive touchdowns after Jonathan Allen got that scoop and score last week? It's amazing.
I'll tell you who else has been impressive in his first year as the starter is Jalen Hurts. The job that he has done running that offense. They are on the bye, of course, this week. They'll have LSU next week. Can Leonard Fournette work a little magic for the Bayou Bengals? This one almost in the books now, 62-24. Penn State, no letdown after that big win against the Buckeyes.
And that was the key point coming into this game, Beth. How would Coach Franklin get his players prepared for Purdue, not playing off a lull against a big, huge win against Ohio State? And I think he's proved his point by scoring 62 points against Purdue.
Big second half for the Nittany Lions. And they will end their 7-game losing road streak and follow up that win last week with one of their top scoring outbursts in quite a long time. And a big day for Saquon Barkley as he rushes for over 200 yards, the best rushing day so far in the Big Ten this year. That's it from here in West Lafayette. Our final score, Penn State 62, Purdue 24.